What's up and welcome to the Game Positive Podcast. We are coming up on E3 season, and so I'm right on schedule trying to revive my podcast once again. Except I'm a bit early this year, so I thought it would be pretty cool to talk about the overall state of the industry heading into E3, where everybody stands, and what game titles are in the running right now between me and my guest for Game of the Year at the halfway point. And also talk about something that's really sad that happened this week, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. However, it is not safe to do this alone. So like I had mentioned, joining me, I have Alex, formerly from the X Button, currently streaming over at Twitch and also writing for Season Gaming, Segovia.
How you doing, Eric? Thank you for inviting me. It's been a while. We haven't done this in almost 2 years. After we did quite a couple, you came over to mine, I went over to yours. I think
Yeah.
what I ever did with you was actually around this time too. Like when we're getting ready for 2024 showcase season. So it's like it feels good to be back. So
Yeah, E3 is my favorite time of the year, and I get pretty excited. And I'm like, what am I doing with myself? Why is my podcast continuously circling the drain? And then after E3, my summer vacation hits, and then I'm just like, yeah,
mhm.
it's a vicious cycle. Hopefully, maybe this is the year where I don't fall off the wagon once again. I don't remember if you were there at the time. Were you there when Season Gaming did a podcast with just the staff?
Yes.
Yeah,
I saw that
I
one. I
think that
wasn't
was
I had not joined yet. I had not joined
okay.
yet, but I remember that podcast.
That was
So
crazy. I should go back and watch that because I think I couldn't like. I think I told this story before, but like if you asked me like how I ended up on Season Gaming, I couldn't tell you. I
yeah.
literally have no idea how. It
Yeah.
had something to do with Halo Infinite, and I don't know,
Mhm.
but like maybe Ains
Wasn't it?
remembers.
I think what if I remember correctly was that Ains just wanted people to talk about Halo Infinite. You had commented something about it, and he had you join in, and he put you in that show, and then you went and reviewed. Was it Rainbow Six Extraction afterwards, something like that? Like, was
The
it that?
the first thing I did was well first I remember like I remember the first thing I did. I just don't remember how any of this started, but I told Ains that I would like to write because I had planned on doing a video for this, and I thought that I could release the article with the video, but the video never happened. It was like the
Mhm.
top 20 or 25 original Xbox
Exclusives
games
for that. Yeah, for that were like
exclusives. Yeah.
exclusives. Yeah.
And then because I had wrote that, I was in the Discord, and I think Ains or somebody, maybe Steve, was just like, "Hey, I got a code for extraction," and I was
Hmm.
like, "You're telling
It's
me
like,
if I just write yes, I'll do it. I can get a
uh,
free copy of Rainbow Six Extraction? Hell yeah!"
uh,
So then I got that, and then I submitted my first review. It was like 6,000 words on Rainbow
yeah.
Six, which
Yeah,
was
that always
insane.
became the joke of of the long reviews. I've tried it because if you remember, I came in also with a long review epidemic also.
Yeah, it's
So
like
so
you
so,
just
so
want to
yours was
say
also
everything. They're like, when
uh
you write your first review, you just want to say everything that's the game, like everything that happened. You just write it, and then you find out pretty quickly that editors don't want to edit 6,000 words, but more importantly, readers don't want to read that either. So you have to you the longer you're making reviews, the shorter they get and the better they get. It's a weird. I didn't know that until I started doing it.
mhm.
But yeah, so like I had alluded to, our main topic today is going to be centered around like the midway point of the year, and also talk about something very sad that happened in the gaming sphere. But before that, there are some news items I thought it'd be interesting to
Mhm.
go through because this is actually technically my last episode was 2 months ago. Obviously, a lot happened in 2 months, but specifically, a decent amount of stuff happened this year.
Mhm.
I think it makes sense to start with Sony. There's a few things. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
rapid fire them off and group them together, and then we can just like talk about it as one. So within the last 7 days or so, Sony. It was reported that Sony was going to pull their single player games from Steam effectively because that's really the only. And I guess Nintendo maybe their account Horizon Lego is that.
Mhm.
And then it was quickly like reported that a town hall had happened and that was effectively confirmed to all the staff by Herman
Mhm.
Hulse. Then there was a price increase to, I believe, is it just the monthly and the 3 month PlayStation Plus? Because I'm
So
an annual subscriber and I don't.
so what happened is they announced it for the base, which was the 999 one. It turned to 1099, and then very secretly, out of nowhere, we saw the Warrior 64 tweet that also the extra and premium tiers got bumped by like $2 or $3 each,
Right.
and
But
that came out of nowhere because that was not the announcement. The announcement was just the monthly for the for the
yeah,
base like essential one. So very
and
sleazy.
and that was greasy, but I don't see anything or haven't found anything that says like the 12-month, but like the
Mhm.
buying an
Yeah.
annual, that seems to be unchanged, and that's the best
Mhm.
deal anyway. I know like it's tougher to like swipe for that much every like once a year.
Yeah.
Especially because like
Mhm.
I'd give it a 75% chance that you first got a membership to PSN or to Xbox Live around Christmas time. So when it
Mhm.
comes to Christmas time, you just blew all your money on presents, and then Sony's like, "Hey, remember the $225 you owe me for the next year?" Then it's a lot harder to justify, but you end up saving a ton annually, and it seems like that price hasn't changed. Like I can't see
Mhm.
anywhere where that's gone up.
Yeah, annual got like left alone. So that's probably kind of like the mindset is like the more they keep squeezing at the bottom, and then you start making the math of if I stay monthly and paying this, like what like it technically paying the yearly, it's like you're doing a saving. That's kind of how they get you, and that's kind of like how they like like squeezing these things. But it's just another of Sony like taking advantage of their market leader position to kind of like see how they can tighten the squeezes on their audience and citing market conditions. And I'm like, what market conditions? The ones that you're
Yeah.
like your market conditions that you're screwing. Like, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
We could keep talking hacks just so I can make sure I list all three
mhm.
things. The other thing was the big hack that happened, which we'll talk about too,
Yep,
I'm sure. But in
yeah,
terms of the and by the way, it's very isolated, the hack so far, so don't panic. But
hmm
technically, it is the great hack part two. Um,
yeah,
but in
yeah,
terms of the subscription pricing, obviously no one wants to see prices go up.
hmm
Um, you could make an argument that the service itself slightly was downgraded because I think they confirmed that they're no longer going to put PS4 games, or at least not
hmm
guarantee that they're there. So
yeah,
if you have this plan and you're on the PS4, which I think there's like 50 million people that are
hmm
in that scenario, if you
It's
want
just
to
for
pay,
online, and it's for online and keeping all the games you theoretically like redeemed.
yes, but if you're on PS, like what's the last Call of Duty that was on PS4? Warzone's on PS4, right?
hmm
I think. And
Yeah.
and then Fortnite's on PS4, but you don't have to pay for that. Actually, you don't have to pay for either of those. Let's just use
Mhm.
Call of Duty. I think like MW2 was on PS4, pretty
Yes,
sure.
every Call of Duty still to this day has been on PS4. The one from this year that we are assuming is Modern Warfare 4 is going to be the
Oh,
first one that's going to skip.
oh, even better. So if you bought Black Ops 7 on PlayStation 4, you have to pay this new fee every month. But like a few months ago, you also would get like 2 or 3 or 4, like whatever, games for free every month. And now that doesn't happen either because they're taking away PS4 games. You can't play PS5 games on it. So
Mhm,
you're losing and it costs more. It's definitely there's no good
mhm,
news surrounding this, but just to talk about other aspects of it that aren't as bad as that, I would say is one, I think the amount that it went up is could compared to other increases that we've seen, especially like since the pandemic, very small in comparison to a lot of other ones. Like you're looking, I think one's $1 a month, one's like $2, something like that. It's not that big of a change. Not that anybody
mhm.
wants anything to go up, but I also think strategically, just how these announcements are all like stockpiling before the showcase, which we'll talk about a little bit in the future.
Yeah.
I think that's smart because me and you had talked about this
Mhm,
on Discord earlier, but Microsoft tends to give you like a rake stepping sandwich where something
uh-huh.
bad happens, then something good
Yep.
happens, and then something bad happens. And in that mess of a sandwich, a lot of times people just remember the last thing that happened, which is usually bad. Like there's usually some collapse or calamity after E3. What
hmm
PlayStation is doing is they're giving you a plate of
hmm
shit
Yeah.
and telling you to eat it, and then after you're done, they give you a steak, and then you're like, "Oh shit, that steak's awesome."
It's so
And then what's
funny. Yeah.
left in your mouth, the taste that's left in your mouth at the end is the steak.
hmm
And so that's strategically, unless there's more to follow, which knock on wood,
Yeah.
hopefully there isn't.
It's so funny. I feel 2026 has been the year that PlayStation has felt more like the Xbox we've seen this entire generation, where like they had one of the rarest big W state of plays they ever had in February. That a lot of people unanimously said that that was one of their better showings, and finally, the people are no people already understand that the showcase name is done. That they're finally kind of like consolidated and slowly building up state of play. Immediately after everyone was like cheering that one, what happened? Blue Point got killed, and then
It was like
Marathon
the
kind of
same day. It
the
felt like
week it was like the week, it was the week after everyone was like, oh my god, is it finally happening? Because it was a really solid state of play that focused on what people were like wanting out of them. Are they finally getting out of the dollars? And then Blue Point happened, and that was so dumbfounding because it was like they announced the God of War remake, and everyone thought, oh, so that's what Blue Point's doing. Cool, at least they're back to doing the thing that they did after they got put in the and then
actually.
yeah, actually, no, they just got killed, and instead, Sony Santa Monica is actually going to spend their time remaking that game, which is like so. Ugh, I like thinking about those stupid decisions. Then obviously Marathon, which people that played it love it. You loved it. A lot of people
It
over
is very good.
at SG
Worried about
really
it
like
though.
it. Yes, it is a worrying term because like the constant chatter, but it's not doing the numbers. But apparently, the few people that are playing are very engaged and monetizing and all that. And Sony's saying like that. So, and they probably are also trying to keep it alive because they don't want another black eye of like, oh, we're gonna kill another live service that's underperforming. Obviously, it's not down there yet. That's what people forget.
Yeah.
Concord was like at double-digit numbers. Like I think one time they had 67 players one time on Steam.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
was
even
one
joking. I
of them trying to
remember.
get the platinum, and
Yeah.
then every match because there was like a trophy for like dying or
Getting a
something.
certain level. It was like getting to a certain level and killing yourself was gonna like end the match quicker. So everyone that stayed in wanted that platinum,
Yeah,
so so they kept jumping off. So it was like people
yeah.
forget that the Concord failure was so historic then, and they probably just got a lot of the people salivated at seeing a game crash and burn that badly that now everyone wants another Concord. Obviously, we got a soft Concord this year with High Guard, RIP, that
I
lasted
like
2 months at least instead of 3 weeks. It was a really good game. I enjoyed it. It's just
Concord was not 3 weeks. It was
yeah,
10
yeah,
days.
exactly. So it felt
Um,
like three, but it was 10 days when they announced the death, and then like 3 days later was like it's dying. It's gonna be shut up in 3 days. It was something like that if I remember. So
maybe yeah.
yeah,
Um, I know that if Xbox did Concord, people wouldn't forget. I know that's
yeah.
for sure. But anyway, we
To
won't
be
go down.
fair, now to be fair, I feel Concord has really pursued so like people have not let it go. A lot of people like everything that's multiplayer that Sony does now. It feels like the specter of Concord's always there. I feel like,
I
and that's gonna pursue them for a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that I get why people would say Fair Games is Concord, whatever. I don't. Maybe I'm just isolated. I didn't hear Concord for Marathon a lot, but I can
Hmm.
see where people would get that from. But it, I think when I hear people bring up Concord, and this is just could be my psychotic,
Hmm.
traumatized Xbox fan brain, like
Hmm.
not functioning rationally when people bring up Concord, it feels like to me that they're laughing at Concord and like the team that made it and how
Hmm.
bad the characters looked and blah blah blah. But
Hmm.
when people bring up like Halo MCC launch or if they bring
Hmm.
up Scalebound, they are making fun of Xbox
Xbox.
specifically and
Yeah.
they're targeting the people that worked at Xbox then, the fans
Yeah.
of the like it feels different to me. But like, maybe
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, what it feels like is because kind of like what I mentioned, like when you mentioned today, like when you brought the initiative, like Arcane Austin and all that, it feels like there's so many different nuances that happens with everything that happens at Xbox, but all under the same kind of like end result. That then everyone probably just generalizes it,
yeah.
unfortunately, because it happens so often. It's just easy to just be like Xbox bad, whereas the Sony rakes have been like this has been a generation for them. We'll probably get there more. That it feels like every year for PS5 has been like the more it goes like this in success in sentiment, slowly you see it like you see it, they're constantly like it feels like something's going down there, like even like so many like you go like MBG, one of the biggest like non fanboy trolley like PlayStation content creators. He even said it like it has sucked covering PlayStation this generation. It's not the same company that was in PS3 and PS4. It's just a parade of bad news, it feels like. So I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it, and it's very frustrating that it feels like we're in the twilight zone where we the core that love that brand are feeling all the mistakes, but those are not being reflected. Whereas Xbox fans, which you're a big one, you feel like you're the Twilight Zone in the opposite side, where it's like you see them try to attempt to do all the good things all the time, no matter what, and it just never seemed like none of that ever hits. And then a big step and a big rake, and such a massive rake that makes it everyone forget about the good stuff, and it happens so often that it
Yeah.
feels like our realities sometimes don't match with like with the actual current reality in the market. It's been very frustrating because before it was all correlatory, I feel
Yeah.
like. So
I do think I am 100% convinced that there's no one that is like completely unbiased. Everybody likes things
mhm,
more than other things. And I do think that like the sentiment at large towards Sony within the majority of people that are going to that other people are going to listen to, whether that's somebody that works at a website or somebody that has a YouTube, whatever, like they
mhm,
tend to lean more towards PlayStation. It
yeah,
makes, and even if they, and honestly, this is like conspiratorial, I guess, but even if they didn't like PlayStation, it's going to be more lucrative for you to pretend like you do because the audience sizes are completely
mhm,
like messed up.
yeah,
But I also think that part of it has like Microsoft should shoulder some of the blame, just like Sony should take some of the credit because some of it is marketing. Like,
mhm,
if their plan was we're going to like make these decisions and present things in this way because our fans are all like Eric and they're going to think their first thought is like, how could this happen? I had to find out what really went down and then spend a lot of time researching and finding out, oh, well, looks like these key figureheads left or like this other thing happened which triggered and some of it starts to make sense. Most people are just going to be like, "Oh,
mhm,
Microsoft or so did the bad thing. Oh, Sony did the good thing." Just
mhm,
like I bet you that the majority of people that are like quote unquote PlayStation fans, maybe not the majority, but a very large chunk of them probably don't even know that Sony made Concord, but think that Grand Theft Auto is a Sony exclusive.
mhm,
Like
yeah.
it's just
Those are just the masses, and they
yeah,
really are like. It's what I keep saying. Like the biggest frustration has been at me that I've been a fan of PlayStation as a core fan of like liking what makes that brand like special or what made that brand special before. It's like it's noticing that all the success of this generation was inertial from the last one, like it's just momentum. It's like people stay there, kind of like what Phil Spencer said in that infamous kind of an interview of like losing the worst generation you could lose because that's when people were building the digital libraries, and that's basically what happened to me. I feel like I'm tethered there just out of my own loyalty to my own purchases. um, they've succeeded without doing the things I love from them as much last generation. On top of being the company that rarely talks, in fact, like, and not talking eventually leads to stupid stuff like the DRM fiasco from a few weeks back. Now, like knowing that hacking thing that happened, that also is kind of like it's very clear because they in their perpetual let's not talk because we're like it doesn't seem to affect us for not talking, but it's like oh yeah, look what not talking is doing. Like look the kind of things that are festering, that how bad that looks if you find out like you were sweeping under the rug that you were like literally like mistreating customers basically in your customer service by not treating them well, disregarding their entire like their entire libraries because of your lax your lax methods. Do you guys forget that you got raked to the coals and completely lost the mindshare for not speaking when you got hacked in 2011? Because people didn't get mad that they got hacked, they got mad that they get quiet for 5 to 6 days and not say anything until they say, "Oh yeah, we think your account was compromised, so your credit card information, all that." And that was such a PR nightmare that it was even in my PR case studies class in college. It made that book. It was there. That's how you know that that's considered a legendary PR nightmare that they teach students now. So it's like, and you
that's
decide
I
to,
didn't know that.
yeah. So it's like this is the company that suffered that, and now it's like, oh yeah, now they want to be quiet. It's like that's what's made it more that's what's been my perpetual frustration this generation because it's like they feel like they're mighty, they feel like they're above everything, and it's just made that brand so sterile. Like despite the fact that some they still put out good games, and the thing is, yes, they put out. I feel like their games don't hit the same anymore because like it's the sequel to the game that hit great the first time. So it's like a lot of their sequels feel like they come and go. Not that they're bad. Like I know some people like arguing that like we have in our circle someone that argues Ragnarok is not good. I'm like, it's nope. It has
It's great.
problems, but like calling it not
It's
good.
it's really
Yeah.
fucking good.
Exactly.
I
It's a really good. It's a really good
I
game, and it's a.
That's technic kind of like
Mhm,
my Biomutant because I gave it a 9. Well, I no, maybe okay. What do you think's more of a unhinged score? Well, no, I didn't review it.
mhm,
Steve did, but I agreed with the 9.5.
mhm,
Um, that or get like I also gave Spider-Man 2 a 9.5. I thought that game
mhm,
was exceptional.
mhm,
Um, as someone who's obviously a massive Spider-Man fan, I like
mhm,
I said like a couple minutes ago, everybody has biases. If they say they don't, they're
mhm,
lying to you. I love
mhm.
Spider-Man, and that game's awesome. And I
Yeah.
love the other one, and I think they improved on that. Um,
Mhm. I gave it a
but
9 myself, so and I
yeah,
reviewed it separately. So it's like I don't think it's that unhinged. I feel it's just more like the it's more it's a sequel. It's more of the same, and most of the things that it does, it's like slight improvements in gameplay and special in specific parts. The stories of the first games feel like they have resonated more with people, and people still reference the first parts more than the sequels. And I don't know how much that's just how general like that's just in general how sequels feel nowadays, where we come from an era where sequels were leaps in shorter times, and now we get sequels that are tiny leaps in long depth times, and that probably kind of changes the perspective in certain things. And I feel that's kind of like where Sony has been stuck, where they're giving us the iterative sequel by waiting too long too, because that's just where development is. So it feels like it hits different every time they comes in. And now when you probably like feel like your taste is changing or wanting something different, the fact that they take too long to come, then it's like you feel like you probably outgrew what it was, and you probably are not the same person you were when you first experienced it. That's something that I've been really thinking about, why the PS5 era sequels that are not bad, they're all great games, just haven't stick with me as much. And I feel it's just the time. So
yeah, I would agree that they aren't sticking to me as much, but like just reviewing them as games, yeah, like they're
hmm
great. Like I remember, and they don't do this anymore either because like I think they're getting a bit lazy. But I remember when God of War 2018 came out, they did this amazing like podcast that was like not a podcast but like a story about like ancient
hmm
Norse things and how it
yeah,
ties
the
in
lead up, it was like kind of like the lead up to like
Forgotten Tales or something, Lost Tales or something like that.
hmm
And it got you so excited. And there was like, to me, as someone who's like a film buff and loves movies too, the fact that it was like in one take was just mind like that was just like a massive level up just in terms of action adventure games, like full stop at in 2018.
hmm
And in most ways, I would argue, uh, aside from the story, which is more subjective, Ragnarok is an improvement on that. But yeah, it
hmm
doesn't hit the hardest. But
yeah.
a little like moving past that slightly, I think that first just super quick, we didn't even talk about the hack at all. We just
hmm
pretended like we did. Basically, just so people know who might may not know, it's not necessarily like a hack as in PlayStation has been
hmm
hacked. It's more like an exploit was found and
hmm
used a lot to PlayStation gamers in terms of how to get your identity through social engineering.
hmm
And the person did it to somebody who's super famous, Colin Moriarty over at
Some
Sacred
media.
Symbols, which then
hmm
just blew it up in terms of people knowing that this exists. And Colin did an amazing job in chronicling like what happened, and the vulnerabilities are exposed, and hopefully it gets fixed. But that's what we're talking about when we talk about
hmm
the hack and how it fits into the news. But back to the games. um I honestly think that, like we kind of said, like Spider-Man 2, awesome game. Forbidden West, awesome game.
hmm
What was the other sequel?
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok,
Ragnarok. hmm
awesome game.
Yote
And
too. Ghost of Yote, awesome sequel too. I don't know if you played it,
I
but
haven't played it yet,
I
but I'll take your word on it. Most people say that it's awesome as well. I think
hmm
the problem is because if they that was like it came out in 2020, and then between then and like 2023, Ragnarok was 22, Spider-Man
hmm
2 was uh
23.
23. So from there, if from 2023 until 2026, so if those 3 years were followed by another 3 years that had the same type of game, I would have zero complaints, honestly.
hmm
Maybe they don't hit as well, but I'd be buying all of them. They'd be my game of the years and all the years they come out, or at least
hmm
nominated. But we didn't actually get that. And I think that's the bigger problem. From first
hmm
party, since Spider-Man 2, we got Concord, which we talked about. We got
hmm
Astrobot,
Yeah, which was game of
very,
the year.
very good.
Yeah.
We got a version of Until Dawn, like these are games that Sony published. We got a
Yeah,
version of Until Dawn that is a remake for current gen consoles that looks worse than the PS4 game.
and it ran worse at launch. They finally patched it to run better, but it was like you were better off playing the PS4 version, like
Yeah.
literally. So
We got Lego Horizon Adventures, which like Lego games in general, they're not going to be your games of the year, but they are
mhm,
usually like pretty above average in terms of their critical response. And this is like,
mhm.
I think it was like a 67.
70. It was like a 70, and I don't know if it dropped to 67, but it was like it didn't land where it needed to land because that Lego game was like, even for Lego standards, felt a little bit more sterile. And the fact that
Yeah.
it's like a lot of the Lego charm is about recognizable characters, and Horizon trying to do that with only two games, and especially putting it out on Switch, it's not like wasn't probably the
Yeah.
right idea. But it's like I understand why they wanted to expand because like in numbers wise, Horizon sells so much for them. If in fact they
Sold
sold
so
stupid
much. The
well,
first
yeah,
one did. The second
yeah.
one,
The
I don't
second
think,
one, exactly. No, the second one
even
was
though
lesser. Hmm.
even though I already said it's a great game, I actually really like.
Hmm.
I think it actually as a game, it's kind of like the Zelda effect. When you
Hmm.
play Ocarina of Time and you for me anyway, it was the first time this
Hmm.
happened in a game. Like you start off as like the kid and grow up into the adult Link,
Hmm.
and I always thought that was pretty mind blowing. But then in the games where you just start as Link, it just doesn't feel as good, even if the games are good. And
Uh,
that's yeah, that's what happened with Horizon 2 is like I love the concept of the first game when you start as like baby Aloy and like work into this like
hmm.
what she ends up becoming.
Yeah,
But that
living the
aspect's
outcast life
obviously
and all that. So,
yeah, that's like the emotional hook that got me in that game. It doesn't exist in the sequel, but the sequel is like better combat, better world, better graphics,
mhm,
more attention to detail, better side quests, probably a
yeah,
better story, better end. Like it's just like
yeah.
better, but it
The
doesn't
better cycles
emotionally
for
feel the
sure.
same.
The better cycles for sure. The story is the one that I'm a little iffier on with Forbidden West because it
Well, there's a
being
huge
middle.
the only way to
Yeah,
talk about the what you're about to talk about is a massive spoiler, so I know what
yeah,
you mean,
I know.
and it definitely takes a turn,
A turn.
and then how you like what direction you turn to, yeah,
Mhm,
anyway. But no,
yeah.
but just to go through this super quick, like, after Lego Horizons, they decided to invest money into making a demo that's not a demo, but is a game, but only a demo of Gran Turismo. That
Hmm.
was like a holiday release for them. Not
Yeah,
even did it.
for
No,
the 24 like for the 30th anniversary, there was that December. That was like a free
yeah,
that you could get that as like a taste, but it was like
but
it's
like,
basically Gran
why?
Turismo 7.
Yeah,
So,
and no trophies. What are we?
uh,
Do you even like what?
wow.
Uh, yes. Then after that, they released like a social multiplayer game where if you bought a copy, which I did for full price, you don't even your five friends don't even have to buy one. You can make them all play for free with you. And I could never get five people, and I'm not that.
Midnight something, right? It was like a reveal at the Game Awards, if I
Yeah, Midnight
remember.
Midnight Murder Club. So Sony
Uh,
decided to publish it, but not put their like marketing push
behind
at
it.
all
Mhm.
or anything except maybe like a tweet. And so it didn't catch on, and I don't know what's going on with that studio or that game. By the way, just like if randomly someone from Valen Software Studios is looking, your game's awesome. It's so
Mhm.
fun to play. It's a legit horror game when you're alone playing solo, but it's so much fun. It just no one knows that it's available. And then it's so hard to explain why it's fun to somebody by me describing it without them being able to see those like there's so anyways, it could have been marketed better, I think. Anyways, moving on. Lost Soul aside, probably the worst voice acting I've seen this generation. Maybe
Dude,
even
it's like
this
it's so bad. Like when the guy that when it falls, it's so funny. It's like it's so like the voice acting and story is some of the worst of any game like that I played. Combat's awesome though. It just
which
sucks that it just says that that combat is surrounded by so much garbage.
but when you
So,
think of Sony, what's the thing that you think of that's
story,
pretty much across all their games?
story.
Great characters, great production value, great voice acting, like
Mhm.
not in
Yeah,
this game.
yeah.
Then there was Ghost Yote, which you said is great, and I think it's probably awesome. So that there's the
Mhm.
one, and
Yeah.
then we talk. You mentioned it several times, and I think it's like it's one of those things that's technically true. Like the last state of play was like this really awesome showcase.
Mhm.
In my opinion, it's tons of like multi-platform games and a couple exclusives sprinkled on. I was super excited coming out of it because of the shadow drop of a new God
because
of War game.
of Sons of Sparta on the back of the remake, because of the remake announcement and the shadow drop for Sons of Sparta.
Yes, and I love God of War, and that moment is why I said the state of play is so good. Retrospectively, though, if we look
Mhm,
at it, I don't think it was necessarily that good, and most of it's because the next game did
mhm,
not deliver either with God of War Sons of Sparta. These are just all like below the quality bar of the
mhm.
first 3 years of the generation. Basically, I took way too long to get here. They also released Marathon after that, which I think is one of the best.
And Death
Like,
Stranding 2, even though it's not first party, it's XDev, so that counts for them. So even though it's on PC now, so remember, Death Stranding 2 was 2025 before Yote and Lost All Aside.
is it
So
published by Sony though? Because I think
yeah,
it's
it was published by Sony and developed with Kojima Productions under their XDev
I thought
initiative.
that
So
okay.
mhm,
Well, then yeah, that's another good game. But
mhm,
and I think that game's awesome. So I haven't finished it though. I'm like pretty fry. I actually have the collector's edition.
mhm,
I love Kojima. Um, this is not Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War. Like this is
mhm,
so it feels like the output isn't matching. I took like the 20-mile road to get to this point. The output doesn't mimic the first 3 years.
mhm,
And so I think that yes, like you're not as emotionally attached to sequels. It's harder. It's a lot of the same thing over again, even if the games are good. I think more of the feeling that you have and that other PlayStation gamers have of like the generation is not turning out like we thought it would. I
mhm,
think it's more about what they've actually released in that time. And I mean, there was a global pandemic, which they'll probably point to, and that's probably what
mhm.
they've been saying. And a lot of people talk about that. But
But the
uh,
irony is that during that time is when the PS5 output was at its strongest through in the first party lens, and
yeah,
then the second half in first party has definitely slowed down more. And they try to rely, like in 2024, it was like the year of Conquer and Astro. That was Final Fantasy VII Reverse, Silent Hill 2, Until Dawn, like Rise of the Rowan and Stellar Blade. It's like games that they
yeah,
polish too. So it's like that's always been their stride. Like what's interesting with Sony is that how we judge these things has changed so much after Microsoft just swallowed so many like studios now that counts as their first party. Obviously, is like because of the multi-plat approach that we'll get to that. They don't get the credit that that's Microsoft own now, because it's like it just feels different when it's just blasted everywhere, everywhere compared to like imagine last year's lineup if that was just an Xbox. Could you imagine just how much weight that would have had? And those all were all
yeah.
pretty good games. Were they all 90s? No, but when you stack up 1580 pluses, like, and if you want variety, that hits different
I
in an
think they
exclusive
were all
capacity.
like green
It,
on Metacritic.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's like that hits it because, like, would you rather, like, in a healthy ecosystem, let's just put it that way, like, if you were to put choose of two that were like in variety, do you want the ecosystem that year, if it's just from first party perspective, if you're myopic and I don't care about second or third, do you want the ecosystem that gives you 10 plus games that are in the 80 range, or do you want the ecosystem that is only going to give you two of those with an 86 and an 89?
yeah.
I
And the
feel for
89 is a game that is very divisive. So
exactly.
yeah,
So because it's the Stranding too, so it's
yeah,
like when you look at it like that, it's like that's where you start seeing like where Sony, like, everything has kind of like slowed down for the PS5 because of all the investments that were planned and made early in 2020 when Jim Ryan and Hermes Holtz came in, and their idea was that we're next we're gonna take PlayStation. We have our single player stuff, but let's start investing all this. Let's bet the house on live service. Like, let's just bet the house, and we know that house didn't pan out at all, and there's been like more cancellations than misses now. So it's like it's left the first party output that they made there. That's kind of like what's ironic. I know there's some people are trying to be like, PlayStation's never been about the first party. It's always been a third party. Man, I'm like, I lived through PS3. Don't come to me with that. Like, because like what made the PS3 worth having when everyone abandoned it? Well, because you just stop being the third party machines. It was the first party might. So it's like, don't tell me that it doesn't. Obviously, a lot of people, and the reality is, yes, the majority of the games that people play are third party games. That's what you play in between the tentpoles. The tentpole moments have become lesser and lesser in the PlayStation side, and I feel like they double down so much on behind the camera, over the shoulder, super prestige, pretentious, like let's try to be HBO and all that. That game, which before you could get in 2 or 3 years, now takes half a decade now. That I feel like if you're only having a PS5 now for those kinds of games, I feel like the PS5 is a waste of money if that's just your exclusive machine. If that's the only kind of game you want, because like there's lesser now, and the variety is not there in first party. The variety is there, but sometimes they get through second parties and even third party stuff. That's kind of where the variety is, kind of, and you even see it this year with their third party exclusive like Neo, Marvel Falcon's Fighting Souls coming later this year, and I don't know if Phantom Blade Zero counts as second or third party, but that's an exclusive that they're publishing. So it's like that's technically also still their game, but that's where you're still seeing like the cool new ideas come now from not first party, and first party has dried up so significantly compared to how it used to be before that's why it feels like they roared in with the PS5 like a lion, and they're kind of going out of the generation like a lamb so far because all of that slowed down because of the bad decision making. So, and they
Um,
got lucky that their competitor decided to throw the towel 2 years ago.
yeah,
So it's like that's the thing that sucks. Is like how lucky for them, like for
I
real, how lucky for them.
yeah, it's insane. I will say,
Mhm.
I do think that in terms of like decisions that Jim Ryan made, he gets a lot of flack for the bad ones, and he should. But
Mhm.
uh, I think just about Phantom Blade Zero, because Phantom Blade Zero's
A green light
self-published.
from him.
It's it's well, it's self-published by the developer. It's not published by Sony, but it was part of the China Hero project, which is what I was trying to
Hmm.
talk about. I don't even know if that was Jim. Maybe it was before him, but whoever that has paid so much dividends to them,
Hmm.
because like
That's where they
what
get the games.
Black
That's
Myth
where they get the
Wukong
games.
was one of the
Uh,
biggest selling games. Like it's not it
mhm.
doesn't it's not published by them or anything like that, but it wasn't on Xbox. And
Mhm.
then you have this coming up. Technically, Lost Soul aside, like obviously
Mhm.
it didn't land as well as Black Myth. I suspect it's not going to land as good as Phantom Blade Zero, but it was still really fun. Like the combat was really fun, and that's a
Mhm.
PlayStation exclusive because of China Hero Project.
Mhm.
Um,
They've been smart with those second party like strategic partnerships with studios that they don't own. And that's always been their MO even back in PS4. If you remember the legendary 2017 for them, that was the year that made it definitive that the PS4 was the place to be. That
Yeah,
generation, a lot of exclusive.
that was the first year I had one. I was like, "What is
Mhm.
happening?" Like
Yeah,
every
and
day,
that
yeah.
and that was a mix, a healthy mix of their first party, second party, and third party kind of like exclusives. So
Mhm.
because if you only see first party that year, it was Uncharted Lost Legacy, Horizon, and Gran Turismo Sport. But that's not what people remember of that year, like in the exclusive like category. They remember it for Persona 5. They remember it for Nier Automata. They remember it for Neo. They remember it for Yakuza Zero. On top of that, that was always disturbing.
That is a
And
ridiculous, like
lineup
just
to
a
just have
quick,
for
just
your
super quick
console.
aside, since we've already
Mhm.
gotten part way into it, I just want to say the next thing we did want to talk about was PlayStation's recommitment to bringing single
Mhm.
player exclusives,
Mhm.
and how it may be also a defensive move against Xbox and Steam Machine. We'll talk about that part
Mhm.
later. Just to refocus, that is, we did transition to a new
Uh-huh.
topic without telling anybody.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes,
it
yeah,
Let's go a
that
segue.
that year is yeah, that year is was insane, and I actually got my PS4
Mhm.
for Christmas 2016,
With
slim.
Uncharted 4, if I think you told me, I remember that.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like I played Uncharted 4 for like an hour, and I was like, bro, what?
Yeah.
This is so good. And like
Mhm.
and then I think in March it was Horizon.
Mhm.
And at this point, I'm like thinking I only care about games that Sony makes. I don't even know that like Nier and Yakuza had just come out. I don't even know
Uh-huh.
what those are. But I
Uh-huh.
got Horizon and I like played it for like an hour, and I was like, I gotta return my I need
People
to trade.
forget. Yeah.
I'm
People
trading this
forget that
PlayStation in, and I'm
Horizon
getting a
hit.
Pro. Like I
Yeah.
immediately got it sold like 30 million copies.
Mhm.
Um, but anyway, more like zeroing in on this topic. I think I mean you've already kind of said your piece on exclusives. Like you can, if you have anything else to add, like do you think that it makes sense for Sony to uh remove exclusives from Steam, even though there's been what was the number, 69 million
Yeah.
dollars, like
They
uh,
did. Yeah. What they made in Steam, it was modest, but not enough. It was like kind of like it was a tiny blip in their entire financials of what it is. So
yes.
it's like they made some money, but it wasn't like a stupid amount that you were like you would be stupid to walk away. It was enough money that you see where an exec could come and be like, you know what, it's not worth the squeeze, it's probably not worth the trying to dilute the brand. And the thing is that no matter what, and here's it's so funny. I will say this: it is really funny. I'm glad that so many people actually have moved on from the bluff from Sarah Bond when she was like exclusives are antiquated and all that. I'm sorry, it's like if you're a platform, like if you're a hardware platform, like what differentiates you is exclusive content. It is like what's the most requested thing on the Xbox requesting that they put out? Exclusive content.
And that's
It's like
another topic we
yeah,
we
it is, but it's like it makes sense why they kind of want to put them there because it's like I feel like based on what the moves that they were making, it was very clear to me how they were playing it is that they were trying to give years like later on the PC version because with the hope that then they would want the sequel, so they would go buy a console for it. It is very it's I think it's more clear than ever. If you're on PC, you're staying on PC. I don't think you're gonna like sacrifice like all your investment or your incredible investment now with how expensive PC gaming can be to then go buy a machine for that. And they were not gonna win over them. Oh no, I'll just wait. And I know there were many people that were on PC were like, no, it's gonna come. Don't worry. It's like, yeah, you play it. I'll play it 1 or 2 years down the line, but I'm playing it here. And Sony's still in the business, like more than anything, even more than that. Like PlayStation is like is their money maker. They don't make money off TVs. They don't make money on the other hardware. It's like Sony, like PlayStation is really the only thing that is actually keeping like Sony as a company alive. And I understand why they kind of want to refocus on the single player, like their single player stuff as being the thing that makes it appealing. Even if it may not sell the bajillions, like what we saw with Saros, that actually open up at the ninth spot in the like with only 1 day in the market basically on the ninth spot, but they also didn't really market it. It's a very niche sequel to like a very niche received game. That's kind of like the context. It releases the kind of flavor that can make you decide to go somewhere even if it's not the only thing you play there. So I understand why they want to do that because they care about that. Like, with Xbox it was different because they've always been the software company, so that's why like when they were pivoting and the conversation is like are they becoming more of a third party like publisher, especially under the Satya Nadella, I like being everywhere. He's always been very vocal about that. So, but we understand that it's like you cannot have it both ways, and that's why like it is interesting seeing that one like Sony now definitively. We heard those rumors in like February, and it
yeah.
became clear now. Like it was reported that town hall. We were like, "Yep, our single player stuff is staying here, but our multiplayer stuff is staying outside because of the expectation that they got to make all the player numbers." And we all know now that the live service, the irony, the live service initiative for Sony, they get more PC players than PlayStation players. Even like I think the Helldivers 2,
It
like
was a
COD was like
big
80
split.
20. It was
Yeah.
like an 80-20 that most of them were made on PC instead of PlayStation. And same thing with Marathon. So it's like even their live service stuff is like they're making more all their money like on the PC space. So they probably understand if they want to keep in that space, they gotta remain there. But in single player stuff, at the very least, like they made it clear cut. It's staying here, and it's good for them. It's not good for the consumer, that's for sure. Because like ideally, it's like yeah, it's like PC and like could you theoretically live in PC and PlayStation? You could kind of make the argument. I would also say like I did went back. I did find a corollary. Do you remember the moment Xbox One, Xbox and PC with everything forever? It was like
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break, and that was kind of like, and I do feel that's when around the time where you start seeing that Xbox One sales like stalled. I do feel that that was like a correlate, like putting the same PC, like you took away a good potential customers by having done that. So it's like if your goal is to not be the biggest footprint, I understand staying there. We know based on how Sony's behaving, they at the moment they like being number one because they're the de facto system. So I feel there is like I still feel that having exclusive is the thing that identifies you. It gives you your flavor and gives you your identity, and you always have to like be strong on making your identity unique because that's how you compete. Like not by being similar to the others, but by having something unique that the others don't have. And I feel like Xbox had that, and they basically lost the money battle. The last regime lost the money battle. It seems like at the time. So
Yeah. So, I mean, I mostly agree. I do think that just thinking about it when you were talking about Sarah Bond, like
mhm.
tinfoil hat, it feels like to me that the how Xbox was doing was not up to snuff. Whatever we heard about the 30% margin, I think that starts
Mhm.
kicking in. they're trying to brainstorm ways that it makes
Mhm.
sense that could make the margins go up, and then they land on, we'll release our games on other platforms, and then obviously they're gonna like pitch it in a way that makes it sound good because like, oh, everybody plays, we all win. It does
Mhm.
sound good, but I think the question, and we could talk about exclusivity on PlayStation and on Xbox
Mhm.
for a little bit. I think the question, I was thinking about this, that the platform holders need to ask, it's not like should we have exclusives or not, it's more so, do we want to be a platform or a publisher?
Mhm.
Because if you want to be a platform, which
You need
like
exclusive.
Xbox, everything that they're saying, everything Asha says yes we do, then you have to have exclusives. Like that
Mhm.
is the entryway. And
Yeah.
I know, like you had brought up too, people point to, oh, like they're not selling that many copies. Like there's 100 million PS5 owners, and only like 5% of them bought God of War, whatever it ends up being. But like the nexus of why they're in that ecosystem, you could always trace it back to exclusives one way or another. And I'm not
Mhm.
like, maybe there's a few edge cases, but like maybe you don't like God of War, but your friend does, and he bought a PlayStation because of God of War, and you bought a PlayStation because your friend has one. Like
Mhm.
that's still an exclusive getting people in the door. And
Mhm.
there's so much evidence that shows that this works across all of gaming history, and there's
Mhm.
no evidence that shows that it doesn't work. A lot of people like to point at Steam, like Steam does is a super successful. It doesn't have exclusives. It literally does have exclusives. Like
Mhm.
you need Steam to
Bad
play
luck.
Counter Strike. You needed to play Half Life. You needed to play Alex. You needed to play Dota, which by the way are
Mhm.
the most played games on that platform. The whole reason Steam exists at all was to be a avenue to play an exclusive Half Life. Like they literally made it for Half Life 2, and then it evolved into what it is now, and then it just went unchecked for so long, and now it's unstoppable. But one thing that I wanted to talk to you about, other than just exclusives being like in general being like good for the platform, do you think that the announcement slash hype that's building around the Steam machine, and then what Xbox talked about at GDC, which was how it's the next Xbox is going to be a PC hybrid. Digital Foundry claimed, or like at least like made the comment, that this feels like a defensive move against that.
Mhm.
And I think it absolutely is. I don't think
Yeah.
that's a bad thing. That's not like a diss at Sony. It's very smart because the Steam machine, like if you have a PC and
Mhm.
a PS5, and
You're good.
which is
Mhm.
that's like the customer segment that you said Sony was
Mhm.
targeting, so that they could buy uh like the old version of a game and then the sequel comes out, whatever. Their ideal customer, well, they're going to have a setup like mine where my computer's at a desk, and there's certain situations where I want to sit like this and play a game, but then I have a TV and I want something that can be a media hub, and so I could play games over there. It being a console is like the total like reason why it would be a secondary purchase for a PC gamer. But if the Steam
Mhm.
machine exists, then why? Especially if the games are on both. And
Mhm.
for Xbox, despite what people like to say, it's dead, whatever, it is still their
Mhm.
biggest competitor. Like
Yeah.
it's not even close. Nintendo, you're
Mhm.
not going to take people from Nintendo, and
Mhm.
just never like they're just. I know that's like a cop out, but they are in
Yeah.
a different world.
I
Um,
would say with the Nintendo thing, I'm kind of pleased that PlayStation actually feels threatened by Nintendo again in over in Japan, because like how do you know that they're threatened? They literally just they price drop the shit out of the PS5 there to compete, because it's like because Japan was becoming so Nintendo centric there, and they had neglected their home country,
yeah,
because they just took it for so granted. That's at least how you know that at least Nintendo, even in a more lower in its lower specs, I feel the fact that they got Requiem day and date, and Requiem actually had like heavy Nintendo promotion, despite the fact that they were not left, like PlayStation was not left behind in the dust. Like Capcom actually worked well with everyone, where it's like, wait, you also use PS5 Pro and you're the first PSSR to like showcase. So it's like Capcom was like, they didn't play favorites there. They just like maximized
yeah,
everything there. So it's like but that's probably kind of something that they started notice, like, oh yes, like Nintendo cannot take stuff from us now. So it's like it kind of goes to show you that there's a that it could still that competition is good, and I do feel right now the best thing that we can say about Xbox, despite what everyone has been saying, because and to be fair, it was very easy to accept that was happening because they were acting in such a defeat as this is what it is. We're just gonna be everywhere. Everything's an Xbox. That it was obvious. Why would you see them as a competitor? Because they're basically just seeding everything. But I feel now they're in a fight. They're showing signs of we at least want to fight one more time. That I feel is like people shouldn't underestimate them when someone is like coming in with such fervor, like hunger to try to change things. That I feel like even though they have not been the big competitor that were neck to neck, I feel they can be enough of a competitor that if someone sleeps at the wheel, especially right now sentiment, the sentiment is catching up finally to the other side where there's
Yeah.
negative sentiment. This is the moment where like as we move to new platforms, those ties could theoretically like shift. So
I
at
would,
least that's how I would say it. But
yeah. And I mostly agree with that. I would just say that, um, I think that even if like the momentum hadn't swung and Xbox was still kind of like distant third and like trending towards irrelevant, they still wouldn't put their games on, or they still wouldn't want a situation where their games could play on that, because
mm-hmm,
until it's like gone, like they're not going to want to get rid of that advantage. And now where we're in this situation where Xbox is saying, hey, technically if you buy the Project Helix, you can play Halo, whatever, or whatever exclusive we may or may not have, but you could also play God of War and Horizon and all the PlayStation games by just switching to desktop mode. I don't think Sony wanted that marketing, even if it's not even Microsoft saying it. They don't even want a single tweet of someone showing that this is a thing, and that is another reason. It's similar to why the Steam Deck is, or Steam machine is threatening. I think that's threatening as well. But we do have a few extra topics I wanted to talk about that are more Xbox centered, since we spent
mm-hmm.
uh
A good
51
amount with
minutes
PlayStation.
on PlayStation. And that is some things that I think is actually more important than many people do. Very small things that have happened at Xbox, starting with the fact that Xbox is dead. Capital
Yes.
XBOX is completely dead. Microsoft just killed it, and now we're left with all caps Xbox. So this is okay. I have a lot of things that I have to say about this. I don't know where to start. So, first of all, I think a narrative that I hear going around a lot about Asha and the team at Xbox in general, beyond all the stuff that was like irrationally and erroneously said in the beginning when she first got
Mm-hmm.
hired. But
Yeah.
the response I hear a lot about all the things that she is doing is that, oh, it's low hanging fruit. It's nothing. It's just like, it's whatever. Um, don't spend too much time on this. If the fruit was hanging so low and all of this was so easy, why have we been asking for these things for years? So
Mm-hmm.
yes, she can't snap her fingers and make the next Halo. Like she can't make the cliffhanger ending of Infinite be a new game that comes out this year, but
Mm-hmm.
she's doing what she can in the time that she has, while
Yeah.
also like allegedly, probably, hopefully doing all that other stuff. And these
Mm-hmm.
are creating all these W's that the other regimen just wasn't doing. And I don't want this to sound like a slight at Phil. My, again, tinfoil hat. I have a feeling the circumstances in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what they can decide to do have drastically shifted from Phil to
Mm-hmm.
Asha's reign. I think that there's a lot less
Yeah.
that she has to work through to get things done, but she's still taking the initiative and getting these things done. So she put out a poll, and when I saw this, I thought the poll was like a joke, and I think
Uh, the branding one.
I I genuinely, honestly, truthfully believe that all caps Xbox is better, like 100%. And so when I saw that, I immediately voted for that and I shared it. And I was like, this is so important. You have to vote, because I thought this was just like an engagement meme. But
I
she
voted
changed.
Xbox. Yeah, I voted for that one too for the lulz. It's so funny that it was actually serious. That it
I
was,
seriously
yeah.
think it's better. If you like, if I had to go to court to vote and I knew like it could change, I
Mhm.
genuinely think it's better. But anyways, um, what ended up happening is a few days after the poll, all caps Xbox won. And this is another point I want to make of why I am so smitten with Asha Sharma. Not only does she have the actual like logo on the website changed to all caps, like not the
Mhm.
logo, but like where the letterheads are, all caps. She also retroactively, with, and not I say she, but I mean like the team. Anytime I say Asha did something, I'm referring to everybody. There's a lot of people that do a lot of work, but retroactively all the Xbox Wire articles now have Xbox. And I know that someone didn't go and erase them all and fix it. There's like automation that can do that, but they did it. And even crazier is like all the other executives or figureheads or parts of Xbox, because I like follow them all on various places, LinkedIn and social, and that like I see it. If it's a marketing guy or if it's like the product guy or if it's like an engineer, they're all changing their LinkedIn profiles to say all
Mhm.
caps Xbox. So she got the buy-in from everybody and got this stuff. And I know it's literally just turning on caps lock, but there's so many of these that are piling up. I don't know if you have
Mhm.
anything to add to that, but the next thing about the player voice I wanted to get into.
Yes, I'm gonna say that I understand what people would say is just low hanging fruit, but also remember is like it's low hanging fruit for a platform that had not gotten a significant update in years. That all the PR we got for this platform was how it was fading away to into a multi-platform future, and you being an Xbox customer was like the like I feel like you were getting the worst deal of all time at like any point over the last 2 years because it's like your investments were in danger basically, like you were being neglected. It's like, what was the big pop at Gamescom 2024 at the end? Not that Indiana Jones was the final game that got to release it, but that it was coming to PS5 a few months later, and that was the headline. If you were an Xbox guy that had been invested in this platform for a while, and obviously, like I've always been a pretty agnostic player. Like I've never been like I can never say myself that I've always been very deep into the Xbox ecosystem. The deepest I got was halfway through the 360 cycle before Red Ring. But I know for the people that stayed there, that stuck with it through thick and thin, the last 2 years was like a death sentence, almost felt like a death sentence. And seeing all these little wins is like our wins nonetheless to finally get positive momentum rolling. That in previous regimes, anything that was positive about Xbox was always undercut by a rake step. And the rakes were always so massive and the slaps so hard that it made any win feel like it didn't matter at all. And I do feel like all these little wins so swiftly and so like thoroughly, especially after all the skepticism of where this woman came from. I feel it's like it's actually like something really good because kind of like what this tells me is like how she's operated. I do feel that what ended up ruining Phil's regime is that he bet the farm on Game Pass. That was the whole point about ABK. That's the irony. They wanted they wanted ABK because they wanted to strengthen like Game Pass with the most unmissable games because the games that are most popular, of course, are from ABK, and that cost so much money. It took so long. Like the platform, even the promise that was going to come to the platform, it didn't remove them from third place. They saw all this money that they spent, and they knew now they were going to spend and be like, "You put us through this." So it's like we're taking charge now because like look how much we have to recover. He probably lost that battle at a time also when Microsoft got very hot and bothered with AI. That it was like that it started becoming like the like you lost that battle. Microsoft put its sights in what they saw was the future. That future seemingly is not paying off because kind of like they started pulling back a little bit. They have not left AI, but Copilot, remember Copilot on Xbox, that was like a big thing that they were trying to push hard
Yeah.
for. I feel that this was a perfect storm where a previous regime that had lost like basically lost the battle at that point of kind of like in the eyes of the people that matter, brought someone in that had a phenomenal sales pitch and promised that she was gonna like get shit done and effectively, and probably used her acumen with what she did with shopping. What was the thing that she was famous for that beyond the open AI? So like she did a shopping
Instacart.
cart something. Yeah, the
Well,
Instacart.
she's been famous for a lot, and
Yeah.
I won't jump into this. So I
Uh-huh.
want to let you continue your thought, but
Yeah.
in the last episode that I recorded, I went through like the places she actually worked at, and
Hmm.
the whole AI thing was overblown. But she's just been somebody who
Hmm.
goes into a business, learns the business, becomes an expert, and then the business is more successful. Like she
Hmm.
was
Yeah.
there, like pretty high up, running Facebook Messenger when it like
Mhm.
started
It was the most
actively
popular. It was the
replacing
most
text messaging.
popular, like it was the most popular kind of like third party like messenger app beside your phone. I remember, and that
Yeah,
was
but
probably before they bought WhatsApp. That is kind of
yeah,
the most universally used
yeah,
thing in the world.
yeah.
Uh, but I do feel like if there's something that she shows me, she probably is like as an outside from an outsider's perspective. she brought in kind of like the business acumen to really convince the people at the top that if they let her attempt something, she could get things moving. And I think that's what we've been seeing. Like someone that has been driven and has been trying to execute, and she probably knows like get the get the little wins now. Start getting them, start racking them, because like if it was just the only thing she did was cap locks Xbox, I would be like, really? That's where we are? We're just celebrating at all caps. The fact that this is all happening with, we killed, this is an Xbox campaign. We killed the $30 ultimate tier for Game Pass because we understand that it's a tough economy. Is like you start piling those little things, and it's like, oh, if you're getting this, then by the time you get to like the big win, it's gonna feel like you're building kind of like the meter for the R3L3 ultimate attack.
Yeah.
That is that, because it's that you're winning you're winning the positivity mark. And this on top of the only rakes that I could think of Microsoft stepping in May after the many Mays of rake steps, being that Forza Horizon 6, a 10 out of 10 video game, got leaked early. Oh, boo-ha, what a problem. Look, 6 million players. It's a massive critical success. Another one. They don't miss. It's like everything is like it's a snowball. You let the positive things snowball, and I feel like right now this is kind of like what Xbox has been needed, because the previous regime was too long in the tooth, too tiring. Said one thing one time, then they changed. They pivoted into direction. They felt like they kept doing 180s over and over and over again, like in such quick succession that were just not good for good morale. And I feel right now there is a definitive, clear vision for the first time they've had, that I'll still judge until the final execution, because we can say all this and then they may like see another giant rake and we're back at square one. But I feel like in many years, especially this entire Xbox generation, I feel you can agree with me. The only good year that was almost entirely positive about Xbox this year was 2021, the year that Halo Infinite ended up launching, Forza 5, the anniversary and all that. I feel that was the last time that I felt like there was a positive groundswell, like excitement for the brand, that then got deleted almost immediately, like the following years. This is the first time I'm feeling excitement in 5 years with the brand, like almost unanimous. We
Yeah.
always kept saying they have great showcase, and they have had great showcases. I always make fun of they come to play at a showcase table where no one else showed up, so they win by the foot. But even then, they still put a great show regardless of
Yeah. And
no
they don't
one
have
else.
to, but they
And
do.
but they still do. So it's like that is like something that I am not going to like deny. I'm not a big fan of their 2025 showcase compared to 2023 and 2024, but it's still, they put up a showcase when others were not. And so it's like even when they were getting those wins, it was still like too much baggage surrounding it, that I feel like now that there's a clean slate, both in an upcoming system coming up, then saying things in that manifesto where we want to go back to affordability, where everything that was done before, everything is on the table now. We're like reanalyzing and all of that. It's like things that people have already taken for granted. It's like, oh, it's over for Xbox. Multi-platform is the future. That's it. It's like, at the very least, talking that, I see why there's newfound reasons to be excited. Now it's like this snowball now has to hit with the alt whenever we get like to the big moments.
Yeah.
And hopefully like they don't get there's always gonna be the specter of Satya Nadella and Amy Hood at the top of things, because that was the reason why things went south for the previous regime. But they probably lost at that point. They were already kind of like looked down upon by them, and someone new, handpicked by Satya Nadella, probably has a little bit more uh, has a little bit more rope there. So at least, sorry for the long spiel, but it just feels like, but I just feel like it's like I can understand why those little things are like, are we really going to expect? It's like just think about the context and just
Yeah.
think about kind of like the greater conversation. It's like it's wild to me that now is like all the negative sentiment that's piling up. It's over in the Sony side, and the fan base is feeling it, especially even now. Like we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there to talk about our sadness, because that is also kind of adjacent to this thing. That
Yeah.
is even snowballing to like some blame is thrown that there, but I'm gonna say that for her. But it's like don't underestimate. These are the kind of wins you kind of need.
Yeah.
But if these are the only wins, then that's a problem. Like you
Oh
cannot make
yeah.
like a yeah.
Well,
So,
I think,
but
I
it's
mean,
worth celebrating
we
nonetheless. At
we
least.
won't get into it, but like just on paper, what we know of with Xbox is very compelling in my opinion. So like
Mhm.
they are poised to do more than this. It's just it literally has only been 60 days, so that's what we
Yeah,
have.
that's the irony.
In terms of Asha, just generally speaking, my like an impression after 2 months is very similar to what like it was when I was reading her like introductory speeches.
Hmm.
Obviously, like the games aren't here and whatever, but basically I think that she's genuine when she talks. I think that she cares about the success of Xbox. Like I'm not saying she's like lifelong Xbox fan.
Hmm.
She admits she's not, but I think she cares about this her job and the
Hmm.
success of this. I think that she is putting in a ton of effort and willing to listen. I think there's evidence of that, which I'm going to talk about in a second here. Um, and I think that most importantly, she is getting the rope or the leeway from above to actually execute on all the things that she's saying
Hmm.
she wants to do. Just
Yeah.
to pull it back slightly, just to add additional context, which may or may not just be completely wrong because I'm kind of like connecting dots and drawing lines here. I think what kind of happened, like from a 10,000 foot view with Xbox, is when the pandemic hit, there was a land grab for IP and content that was predominantly happening in the video streaming world, like where the streaming services were gobbling each other up and new ones were popping up, and there was this real battle. If you're in the tech sector or if you follow the news there or if you're just in entertainment and that news, there was a mad dash for people to just grab content up. And because it was just like there was a path that people were seeing to huge profits by owning these based on where they could see the industry going, right? And Microsoft lost all those races as a company that has a ton of capital that could have invested. But there
Hmm.
was another vector of entertainment, gaming, where there was this like bevy of IP available. And
Hmm.
that in combination with the fact that Activision was at like a relatively all-time low for their stock price, it was appealing
Hmm.
in terms of the cost and it
Yeah.
fit what they were trying to do. So I think
Also
that,
because of the sexual harassment thing that was embroiling
yeah,
them, so it put them at a final position that if those people, instead of dealing with that, wanted out, put them at the right price at that point. So.
yes, exactly. So I think that it wasn't so much that Phil was getting them to pump in Game Pass. I think it was because Microsoft's not going to make their largest dollar investment they've ever
Hmm.
done because of like Game Pass, this little thing.
Hmm.
Even though clearly it benefits Game Pass, I think it was more of a content grab or a land grab for IP and stuff to own. But then right after that big swing is when the AI bubble started to really blow, and then it
Hmm.
became the most desperate race since the race for search.
Hmm.
And famously, if you remember, Bing did not beat Google, and
Yeah.
Google owned the internet, literally owned the internet
Still
because
does. Hmm.
Microsoft lost that race and other people lost, obviously. So Microsoft, along with a bunch of other companies that I don't want to talk about, were trying to do another land grab for um, like GPUs and as I can't think of the acronym for the RAM, but you know what I'm talking about, and to build data centers and stuff like that and train
Hmm.
models and blah 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 blah. And I think that's where the pressure for Xbox to be more profitable came from because they were like, we need to ride this wave and beat
Hmm.
Google and beat all these people because we lost search, whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
That's based on what I'm hearing and what I'm reading and whatnot. That's what seems like happened. But like had you had mentioned, they seemingly are kind of admitting that the likelihood of them like beating OpenAI or beating these other companies is low. So let's
Hmm.
go back to what we were doing and we need to focus on content and we can't really deliver the content, which is how you make money in entertainment without having a customer facing like brand, which is
Hmm.
like obviously like you need like a Netflix or you need anyways. So I think now that Satya is like, okay, well, remember all that shit I said about how you had to do all these things that you probably don't want to do and probably know are horrible ideas and everyone's blaming you for. Well, now
Hmm.
you get to not do that. You can just, do what you said you should have done.
Hmm.
Obviously there's more nuance to this. I think Phil just said that's absolutely
Yeah.
insane. I'm leaving. And now, but to Asha's benefit, she's coming into a situation where Satya is like, we need Xbox because it's quite literally our only consumer facing brand that people actually like. Like
Yeah.
everybody uses Windows, but nobody likes Windows. And
Hmm.
so I think that Satya to circle it all back, I know I went on a huge tangent. I think that she has the carte blanche to do this. I think she has the backing from Satya to do this for the reasons that the story I just told. Because he knows that Xbox can't die, or else they're one of their more valuable assets anyway, and all of the gaming IP they have. They have no way to deliver it. At least not an ideal way. They could put it on Steam, but then they just chop 30% off the top of everything. Um,
Yeah, it's really I think it really is all timing, and I do feel like what this reminds me of is when a long running sports team kept the coach for so long that was initially well liked, but over time, kind of like his presence was just basically diluting things, and it was just time for a change. I feel that's more of a reason why like Phil finally was like, it's time to just leave now, because it's like I feel a lot of these things were planned under them, but it's like after a decade of so many like little mistakes here and then and all that, it's like, would they be the people to deliver this message after everyone already saw their entire record and be like, we've been here before, do we trust you're gonna, like, are you the person that 2 months ago were like now telling us that exclusives don't matter, or like all these kind of things, like moving, getting someone new, even if that was still something that that old regime was planning, was probably also the right move, because like new beginning, fresh start is always good no matter what. And it's like, because it's wild to think that Phil Spencer's been like there since like beyond where, like, how long he's been in Microsoft, but as head of Xbox, or kind of like in charge of the Xbox division since like 2014, when
yeah,
he tried to like do everything to save the Xbox One, and he technically did early on. I would say, like, it's just that
yeah. I
he's
don't
just the
think we're
later
having
investment.
this. If they hired Don Matrick too, like the
Yeah,
sequel, there we
it ain't
wouldn't
happening.
be
Yeah,
here right now.
exactly.
Um,
So it's unfortunate that like the later parts of this year, all like, it was like the perfect storm of all this crap that probably like, unfortunately, people take, because I've heard so many people are like, Phil Spencer's the worst thing that could happen to Xbox under him. He like, look, like the brand is destroyed, like it went multi-platform and all of that. And I feel that's generalizing. Like, we know there's always different nuances and all that. I do feel that this is kind of like a little case of like, either you die a hero or you live you live long enough to be a villain. And unfortunately, him still being there when all of that was happening. And 2021, oh yeah, why we bought Bethesda? Because we want to like strengthen our lineup to deliver a great exclusive games and platforms where Game Pass exists. That was the line when
and you know
everyone was
what?
like,
I
yeah,
think that when he said that, that is 1,000% what was supposed to happen, and he was
yeah,
100% telling the truth. And
exactly, yeah.
I'm not gonna spend any. I'm just gonna take 10 seconds to say, when people
Hmm.
keep bringing up, oh, it's just 4 games. That's literally what it was. If I tell you the sky is blue, and you're like
Hmm.
cool, and you tell your friend the sky is blue,
Hmm.
and then I say I lied, actually the sky's red. That doesn't make
Uh-huh.
you a liar. You told the truth because that's what. Anyways, he's
Yes,
not a liar. Phil
yeah,
Spencer's not a liar.
yeah.
Jesus.
And I feel like when that happened, it was like, because that was still early infancy of the platforms. The platforms were like starting, like the newer generation had just kicked off, because that was like March of 2021. So it's like that was obviously the move. I think ABK really changed everything. I think like ABK and that entire kind of like paradigm of everything like really changed, or they thought they could pursue that, but the amount of money that was gonna be spent was just not gonna make that realistic. Like, all things considered, especially the extension of that deal
I
that
don't think it
took
was a
forever.
bad deal at all, though. I don't think that
Mhm.
they overspend or are going to have or it's not worth it anymore. Like that, I think that that investment's paying dividends, and I don't think that.
They're making a lot of money. That's the irony. It's like that. It's like that investment. It's at the same time kind of keeping the entire brand afloat. Where it's like sentiment is low, but at least the earnings are still good. So it's like it's kind of like it's like it tries to keep things like in balance.
The other
And
part that I think gets overlooked, just I don't want to talk about finance that much, but like when they acquired ABK, the valuation of of that like entity has gone up since they bought it. So
Mhm,
even if they made $0 in revenue, or like let's say they just operated completely flat, no profit, no
mhm,
loss, they still they still earned money. They've already gained more than they've spent because the valuation of the product, the cost of the shares is worth more. If they needed to liquidate, they could sell it for more than they paid for it. So it's all instantly profitable. Meanwhile, Bungie was like a 70, what was it, $770 million.
uh,
I can't remember
yeah,
the accounting term for it, but it's when you report the value of your asset has
Uh,
gone down without spending anything.
yeah, it's like they like deprecated. It deprecated 765 million from the purchase value. I think it's
Yeah.
something like that.
So if they're losing money every year and the value of it has gone down, then
Mhm.
that's bad. But with Activision, they're making money every year. They're not making $69 billion every year. They still
Yeah.
technically owe that, even though they probably paid mostly cash for it. But the value of Activision, if they wanted to sell it today, is worth more
Mhm.
than
Yeah.
$69 billion.
I
So
do feel the
that's an
thing that
amazing acquisition. And I don't think that that is like Phil got caught up in that, and that's I think that Microsoft's very happy with it. I literally just
Mhm.
think right when they made that acquisition, they're like, "Holy shit, we have to dump everything we have into AI." And because
Mhm.
all of the if you follow the money, that's what's happening. Look at
It
the
was it was almost perfectly timed. I remember it's like it was kind of like around that same point. I also do think that once everything solidified with ABK and they saw what it was gonna take to run the thing, that's probably something that they got so caught up on acquiring them. But then by the time finally it took to be like they're now our employees, we're gonna keep this thing. And now we have to pay for these people. Now we have to like develop these games and all that. That's the probably the moment where they got the good like they come to Jesus moment of like, oh well, yeah, it's not just the 69 billion we just spent to acquire this. So many people work at so many of these different, and even with all the layoffs that were happening, because you remember the layoffs were brutal immediately after because it's like they needed to like call so many
redundancies.
and redundancies and all of that. It's still a lot of people, and Call of Duty by itself, especially them not going away from the annualized model, still sticking to that. That still was probably a lot of money. And then when finally analyzed, he's like, "Where are we in the? How's the Xbox doing? Oh, it's not. It's like it's kind of stuck. Like Game Pass is kind of stuck. That's probably why that was kind of like the perfect storm where they did a full business analysis after that acquisition, seeing what it was gonna take to develop moving forward, although like what they just acquired, and seeing where Xbox was, the AI boom and all that, and then the money people were like, we need ROI now.
Yeah.
Because I could imagine like in Phil's mind, this was be like, this is a long term play. It's gonna be working, but it's like just think about it. It's like sometimes I know that I've heard this happens with Microsoft. They are a very we need results now company. And that was kind of like the worst part of the Eye of Sauron. That was like Amy Hood, the money people, kind of like being like, we spend all this money. This is what you guys have been doing. No, 30% for Friday. We need that money now. They really were. They were very short sighted at that point, and very unfortunate about like what was probably Phil's plans would be like. This could be like the moment that finally like our plans for Game Pass or what we're thinking on the platform, we're gonna start flourishing when we start putting this stuff in. Because remember how long it took for ABK stuff to even start happening, like showing up. That wasn't even immediate. Like
Well, it's a
it
big
even took a
company.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like that. Yeah, not like how happened with Bethesda. That almost immediately, as soon as it finalized, they dumped everything at once. I remember it was like all of that was there. They got FPS boosted and all that. I remember that. Like
Yeah.
so, it was like it was kind of like the opposite. So a lot of people were like, "Wait, you bought them? Where are the Game Pass like catalog?" They're like slowly started trickling down, but then it's like we learned that the Game Pass just really stopped growing. It really did. They try like mixing the numbers when they try to like put the what was Xbox Live Gold, if you remember, they made a Game Pass score and try to like make all that those numbers, and then they're like in the business update, they're like 34 million. We have now our 34 million like users, but that was after they had changed to Game Pass score, so they were trying to put like all the numbers. So even people were making the math. It's like, do you have less? People were because they remember how many gold members they had. So it's
Yeah.
like so it's not more even with all that. So that's when you start seeing that it really was like they started seeing that the long-term goal got stuck and greedy maybe like yeah, a desperate Microsoft was like, we need that ROI now, we're going to invest on AI, we need to start making all this money, put everything everywhere. That's probably what happened. And
Yeah.
now it's like victim of time and circumstance, and we can only like imagine what could have been if they had never gotten ABK in the first place. Could you imagine like if like the generation has have gone just with the Bethesda acquisition without ABK? Can
Oh,
you
when
imagine?
I remember saying, like, even during the ABK, like, saga, I was always kind of on the team of, like, I think they're really good for Blizzard. I love Blizzard so much, but
Hmm.
when they acquired Bethesda, I was like, "Okay, we are even now."
Mm-hmm.
we can go to battle with Sony, because before that Sony just had more studios. That's why they had
Uh-huh.
more games. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, okay, with Bethesda, we're even. Like I was
Yeah.
even like comparing them. I was like, this is like, as somebody who has both, this is like both sides are
It's
awesome.
the equal side, and then like Sony did like the small Blue Point, and then Housemark, like so, and those were
Yeah.
like, yeah, makes sense. You've been working
But
with
then
them
we
for a
did
while.
Obsidian, and we did
uh,
what's the other guy? The
in
smaller
Exile.
In Exile, yeah.
Hmm.
But I thought it was pretty even. I always thought ABK was overkill, but I understood kind of like what the market was saying. I think
Hmm.
really like it's been said a million times, like they need to not fumble out of the gate with the Xbox One. They needed to pay more attention to Don Matrick and what he was doing to that company even
Hmm. Yeah.
before that, because I do think that the AI boom and the Activision content, like gaming IP content, Mad Dash, I think that all plays a role. But even before any of that, before Series X or whatever, the Xbox was just going down, like in terms of cons. So there's other problems beyond that, but I think there's just a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Before we move into the main topic, I do want to quickly talk about one last thing, super quick, and it's kind of related to Asha Sharma, the Xbox Player Voice. It's like a new site that they released through Xbox. It's basically like Reddit on the Xbox website, but it's for users to be able to post concerns or things they think that should be added to Xbox, and people can upvote them and whatever go to the top. Now, when I read this, I thought this was pretty cool. It's a cool way to kind of organize what players want, and maybe they'll look at it.
Hmm.
Or maybe this is just some more engagement farming. Either way, it will probably get a lot of engagement. So maybe that's what they're doing. Um, but this came out, I think it was 4 days ago, well, like Monday or something. It was this week, right?
Hmm. Yeah, this week. Hmm.
So today they pushed an update to the Alpha Ring Xbox Insiders to fix one of the things that was brought up in this list.
Hmm.
That's
That
it,
tells you serious. That tells you like they're
immediately,
actually.
people are reading this,
Hmm.
or at least an AI is crawling it and like
It's not just for show.
divvying the
It's just
results and
it's just
sending it to a human seeing
it's
it.
not, yeah, it's not just for show. That is for sure. It's like that's what's become very clear, that it's like where before you would think that it was just paying lip service. Yeah, it's like I say everything, and then they would never do anything. It's like this one of the few are like, oh, they're actually like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're this. If you thought just asking for do you want Xbox with lowercase or Xbox with uppercase was just it was just a one of. I feel in the spirit of that, it's like no, they're really listening. They're really listening. While we'll try to iterate on everything as fast that they can, because there's gonna be things that are just not gonna happen. Like I know, like the number one thing there, it's still like by a margin is the whole exclusive thing. That's gonna probably take a little while, but
15,000 upvotes,
yeah,
15.3K upvotes for
yeah.
exclusives. And yeah, okay, there's 30, 40, 50, whatever million Xboxes. What's
Hmm.
15,000? This is just 15,000 of people that looked at it. That's how samples work and how data works.
Hmm.
And it's not 15,000 against all the Xbox consoles sold. It's 15,000 against the people that went to this website. They're going to
Hmm.
have, I can see it. I literally can see it right now in the source code of this website. They have trackers that are sending page views to some server that's going to compare how many people looked at it and what they clicked on. So 15%, if 30,000 people went to this website,
Hmm.
that's suddenly 50% of the sample that they're. So these numbers, this engagement is actually really good, is what I'm trying to get to. And
Hmm.
I think that again, it's just another low hanging fruit. Like, how hard is it to make a website, especially when you're Microsoft?
Hmm.
How hard was it for any of the past people to do it? They didn't. Like, it's not about how difficult the task is. It's about how frequent and how willing they are to do these things, whatever
And
they can
willing,
do,
yeah, yeah, and
and
willingness
willing.
is the thing that at the very least right now in this early stage is at least the thing that's appreciated, because then at the very least you know that the things mentioned in their manifesto, which was like the week after Asha got, or week or two after Asha got put in, is like at the very least it could be easy to say it's like they're just saying the big words just because they're saying it, but it's like, I mean, they're slowly been like iterating, so it's like you cannot say that they're not acting on what their intent is. I feel the thing that's, how can I say this? The thing that's not getting enough emphasis to me is the fact that the hires from this week, they got Matthew Ball, the guy, the state of the industry guy. that has like criticized them hard on their the Xbox business over the last 2 years. In fact, like he was the one that was calling it, like I think it was he put a state of the industry before like the business update that kind of like he basically predicted that it's like with what Xbox is spending and kind of where they are and the whole Game Pass of it all is like I don't see a sustainability that they can keep like an exclusive ecosystem like with what they have or things like I remember it was something and then the business meeting happened where they were like the four games and everyone was like yeah it's like that guy called it out so it's like Asha's literally called out a guy that was a big critic and be like come
Yeah.
help us fix this. That to me, more than anything, that tells me because like his analysis, the state of the industry that he puts out, like he's that's referenced by Christopher Drake from the game business and all that. That's always it's always such a it's like a 50 to 60 page essay of like the entire business of where gaming is at. He like did a big essay of how like the metaverse was like a low key was gonna become the future, how the new generation was gonna consume content. That was like back in 2020. Lo and behold, what are the most played games are basically metaverse, not Facebook metaverse, but like the Fortnite, the Roblox, those tiny like communities, like perpetual things. It's like he called out and analyzed the stuff. It's like I that tells me it's like Asha is like this guy has the pulse. I want you here in the big like I want you with us because what that tells me is like she is not hiring toxic positivity to just say yes to things. The thing no, she is
No.
hiring people that are really like they're gonna be cutthroat. They're gonna say how it is, and they're gonna plan they're gonna plan like with actual realistic like understanding of the markets. Matthew Ball is the reason Amazon Prime like grew its content pipeline. He worked for Amazon. Like it's
Damn.
because of him that you have shows like The Boys and and Invincible, which obviously The Boys is finished recently. It's like he was like in charge of making of like going for the content. He was in charge of being like, let's make Amazon Prime an actual real competitor in the streaming wars. And like, and when you hear about an Amazon Prime uh, show, like even Fallout, is like he set the cadence for that. Obviously, he's hasn't been there in a while, but it's like that to me it just shows me that Asha like has been like really paying attention, who's saying the right things. What she wants is actual change. She's hiring the right people to actually execute on things. That should be more that should excite a lot of people because like it's very easy to just hire yes men or just toxic positivity. People are gonna like not really say how things are and just be like everything's kumbaya and go forward. It's like that to me has been like probably one of the more consequential uh hires, and that just it's a statement of intent that it's like if this is the last hurrah of Xbox, they're going down in a blaze of fire. They're not like going out quietly into the beach to retire and all that. It's like it feels like if we're gonna have one more final swing at this, like we're gonna fight for this, and that's
I
just based on the hiring.
I didn't actually know that much about him. I just found his essay that he did for this year last February. I wonder if his like positivity towards Microsoft changed or not. But I think
Uh,
that I mean that's awesome that I'm gonna definitely read some of these by the way. But
Good. He has good analysis. It's very cutthroat. It's
I
very deep.
yeah, I think obviously it's awesome that she is willing to do this. I think she showed this kind of like attitude towards like
Sean
even
Layden.
if someone's critical of you, like you were gonna talk like yeah, the reply to Sean Layden, even on day one when I think it was it Ryan at IGN or somebody
Yeah.
was claiming that
Ryan McCaffrey, huh?
she's an AI
Uh-huh.
writing these, and then she's like saying bleep bloop, I'm not an AI. Like
Uh-huh.
she's this has kind of been her attitude, and I think that is a younger mentality. Like that's how some younger people think,
Mhm.
at least in technology. And I think overall it's really good. I thought I wanted to talk about the player voice a little bit because I thought that it was very insane how within 4 days something's already patched or like like in the process the
Mhm.
insider program, uh, which is yeah. I
Is the
think
swiftness you want.
when
You
she
want to have hope. It's what you want to see.
yeah, one of her like statements she made or like the 10 commandments of Xbox that like, how people call it was like she committed to updating the Xbox series like in some way every like 2 weeks, which even
Mhm.
I was like okay, I'm believing everything you're saying, but there's no
That
way.
sounds insane.
Hasn't missed a deadline. every 2 weeks or something. It's awesome.
As little as the update it is, it's like it's like they're setting the cadence, and I hope that it's a sustainable cadence, because it's like that's kind of like the danger of being this proactive, is that you set an expectation, and then if you slow down, it's gonna look bad on you. It's kind of like what happened with Fortnite, that they set up an expectation that every day a new update, something changes in this damn game. No one can keep up, and even then they're like, we can't keep up, so we're
Yeah.
subbing. But they set the expectation, and brain rotted a lot of people into expecting that. So it's like, if it's sustainable, they can do this thing, but it feels like it's been updated. But please keep it going. Like, please keep it going, because like it feels like the Xbox Series is alive again thanks to that. Like, tiny as
Yep.
it is, it's like at least you care. Before, I thought this machine was just was just there for show. Sorry, it was, because like just because I bought it, not because I wanted it. So it's like that's how it felt. So
Yeah. Well, since we're like in such a jolly mood about how Xbox is actually doing really well, let's change the subject to something very sad.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So I actually should have probably pulled it up so I could read it verbatim, but I don't have it here. But effectively, it was reported that, or not reported, Bungie released a this week, is it
Uh-huh.
Twib now?
The twist this week in Destiny,
This week
because of
in
the
Destiny, not this week.
Mhm.
This
At Bungie. This
week
week at
at
Bungie, TWAB. It switched from TWAB to TWID. And that
Yeah.
kind of like,
There was a tweet that effectively said that, well, I think, okay, so this part of it is not getting talked about enough. What they
mhm.
released a tweet that effectively said this next update to Destiny is going to be freaking insane and awesome.
One
And
of the
it's going
biggest
to,
updates they've ever done.
and
Like,
it's
like,
like in turn, not in terms of expansions, but in terms of just the seasonal update, it's definitely
mhm,
the best. Well, I mean, on paper, it's the best one. It's very exciting. I can't wait to jump into it. And it looks like it's really
mhm,
awesome. No one's talking about that, because the other thing it said was that this is the last piece of content that
mhm.
is going to be in Destiny 2. And the game is effectively, um, I don't want to say
In
dead,
maintenance mode.
because you can still play it. They're
Mhm,
going to support it and keep it online for like indefinitely. But it's not, it feels like it's dead. And the reaction in the community is like they're going to a funeral. I seen people that I remember before Destiny 1 coming out, watching Dado's videos of
uh,
just like looking at the different like little things in the corner of like the Vidoc and trying to guess and explain, and just so excited. And he
mhm,
became a career content creator because of Destiny. And then watching him today crying, or yesterday, wherever the news came out, crying because of how sad
mhm.
it is that this is what it's come to. So
That was his.
um
This game was his career. He met his wife through this game. He made lifelong friends with this game. Uh, like it's it is hard to put into words. Like, I've never been as invested in a game as I've been with Destiny. Like, obviously you have WoW. That's
yeah.
probably like your next corollary, but at least for me, like, this is the longest I've stuck with a game through its first iteration, for its first 3 years, and then Destiny 2 up until like this moment. And like
Well, before
the
one sec, before we just get too far into that, the
Mhm,
other part of this that is the reason why it's so sad is because, and you can I guarantee you thought the same thing that I did when you
mhm,
first read that twid. You're like, holy shit,
mhm.
Destiny 3.
Yeah,
Um,
because they said it's time for our shared worlds of Destiny and Destiny to live beyond Destiny 2.
yes.
You said it that way. It's like, okay, it's like, yeah,
So we're
Destiny's
like,
gonna live beyond
yeah,
like this game finally. So it's like it's
exactly.
time.
So my thought was like, okay, this sucks that Destiny 2 is not getting anything, but Destiny 3 is going to be so good. And then like an hour later, he's like, just so you know, they're also laying off a ton of people, and Destiny 3 is not even talked about. It's not even like an
Yeah,
idea
it's not
yet.
even in production. It's not in production. But they're like
And
pitching other ideas,
pitching,
probably within the Destiny. That's like a smaller Destiny game, probably like
yeah.
one that they can whip out in two
So
years. That's probably
that's
what they're
why it feels dead, because whatever comes next, it's not going to be,
like what
or
this was.
very unlikely to be Destiny 3. And the people that were making Destiny, excuse me, this whole time, a lot of them could be affected by layoffs. So, anyways, continue.
Yeah, it's like it's so sad. Like, it's really sad to think that. To me, it's like it would have felt different. Like, imagine if we got this moment of triumph, like, update like 3 weeks after Final Shape. Imagine that. Like, we got Final Shape, which we did a podcast around the time that we beat the campaign, and we did the excision, the final mission of Final Shape, and that was, for all of Destiny's up and down, that's probably one of the most perfect endings that I've ever seen in a game. Like, the emotional the emotions of realizing that it's like 12 like 10 at that point 10 years culminated in this, like even incoherent stuff like was able to, or like has weight now, that is like they were able to like complete a 10-year journey that by the time that we first heard of Destiny back in the day when they're like this is the next 10-year journey, we're like okay cool, that's ambitious. And obviously with so many other games we're like remember when Halo Infinite was a 10-year journey and that only lasted 4. So it's like to think that they actually like committed and delivered 10 years of content. Like we went through the highest highs, Witch Queen, Taken King, we went through the lowest lows, Dark Below, Lightfall. It's like that we went through like this
Dark
despite
Below. I think
yeah
you
the Dark
mean I think you mean Curse of
Curse of
Osiris.
Osiris. Yeah,
Dark Below
there's
is
like
awesome.
that raid is awesome. Corona's End is awesome. But remember that campaign that was only 2 missions? I
Yeah, but
remember
remember when
that.
it came out? It was
Yeah,
like December 1st or something like
December,
that, and the
yeah, December
game came
24th.
out in
Yeah,
September. So it was like 3 months, and we got a new raid, and then 3 months later we got the
House of
House of
Wolves,
Wolves, and then 3 months later was the best thing that's ever happened to Destiny, Taken King.
Taking King.
So the cadence and stuff was crazy. Like that was not a thing. That first of all, raids in these games were not a thing. Like
Yeah,
a game like Destiny just does, it was not a thing on console, and
yeah.
like it was so crazy. That whole thing was so crazy. But yeah, no, it feels really sad.
I reinstalled both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 yesterday because I had uninstalled it until I heard what was like the next big thing. Because obviously the codename Frontier era, which was Edge of Shape and Renegades, I played both of them. Edge of Fate was okay. It had a cool premise for the future, which was about the Nine, and Renegades, which was their Star Wars crossover that managed to like bring in Star Wars aesthetics in a way that worked into a story that was still very Destiny. Was like interesting. It was like it sucks to know that they started a new story and now that's left unfinished, and that stings when they had the perfect ending for a ramp up just a year ago. That's the thing that hurts the most because it's like, man, had this on like why did no one have the four? I understand why, because this was their moneymaker. It's always gonna be tough for you to like say this is the end of the saga and not have people leave. A lot of people first felt satiated after Final Shape. Like, why wouldn't you? It was such a perfect ending. It's the Avengers Endgame
It was so
conundrum. What
good.
happened?
It was
It
so
was so
good.
good, but then it's like, how to try to keep it up? It's like it's so unfortunate that the future of Destiny was never like they thought that they could keep up updating Destiny 2. And to me, the biggest mistake that will always undo them to me was the fact that Shadowkeep should have been the end of Destiny 2. When we got Beyond Light, should have been at 3. Or just become Destiny at that point with a
And
new code.
and
Because
that's
they
what
try to.
Activision wanted,
Mhm.
whereas
The
Bungie
games were
didn't.
built. Yeah, the games were built that way. Like the tech under there is like they talked so much about how like by the time we got to Beyond Light, it's like they were trying to still maintain just one game, but the way they coded it was not enough. That's why we got the content vault, because
Yeah.
if not, it was gonna balloon in size and all that. But that became such a big mistake because it's cool, and now we know that Destiny 2 as a product exists, but with the elimination of the first 2 years and now an incomplete like story, it feels like a product that now lives incomplete, and that sucks. Because look at Destiny 1 with the collection, the Destiny the collection. The experience that was playing Destiny 1 can be played from beginning to end, still to this day. And I'm hoping again, so obviously whatever's happening with the what was playing in story, that's for a new game, a smaller game to probably deal with that if that's one of the incubated products they want to do. But it's like at the very least bring back what started Destiny 2, so at the very least the beginning with the Red Ward up until the final shape can be like this one thing that can live in perpetuity and we can experience it all. If we have nostalgia, we can go back, because that still was such a great era for the game despite all its highs and lows. And I don't think I'll ever have an experience like this game ever again. I created you had a clan back in the I made like I
Oh
was a
yeah.
clan leader with two. Some of my best friends I met through this game. So many people are there, and they're in my Discord now for like my streams. They're there, like I met through playing Destiny. Me and Paul, who was my other podcast co-host, there's like that was one of the games that we bonded together as we started our journey podcast, and I got him into the game, and he brought in friends too. Like I met so many people. It's like this game has such a beautiful magnet to connect people, and the communities that formed where you would follow, like people would always find something interesting to say about the game. you will learn metas, you will learn like secrets. Like I this was the first time that I listened to gaming like specific podcasts like with Fireteam Chat back in the day. Like I would listen to it was like the fact that I listened to what was happening in the game because it just felt like this unique thing that we were like all part of. And I had missed it over the last year because I didn't feel this last two contents were that great. But it's like I have missed that feeling of what this game could do. Like every year with a new Destiny expansion was always an event for me. Always. Every time. They
Yeah.
always I would take day off. I would play through the entire campaign, started like prep for the raid. Then I would go sit and watch the raid race. I would do the raids after, but I would see like I would like to see like did that experience of people like working together like all with the Twitch directory like being lit, everyone playing the same game like because they were racing on this thing is like that is that is such an experience that's so undeniable, and that to me transcends the vanilla launch that a lot of people like to criticize because like the early campaign obviously was a problem, but if you stuck to it, did Bolt of Glass, you start to realize where the brilliance was with like the like repeating the content harder difficulty, getting better loot and build your character that way. It's like it had a great long term hook. Obviously we went through Destiny 2 trying to casualize the experience, and then for through that entire year going back to where I was to get to Forsaken, which till this day like that was the most complete year we ever got with that game. That it's like the most content they've given us, one of the most awesome rates, that entire year's worth of content at such a consistent cadence. Like the hype we had when they broke off of Activision in early 2019, remember? And we thought that was gonna be so good. Like finally, like
And it
for us,
was.
it
It
was
was
for a little
so good because like you had said, like the final shape should have been the ending. Could you
bit. Hmm.
imagine if, and I just had like the shower thought earlier today, like imagine if they had the foresight, they being like Bungie, some combination of Bungie and Sony, to
Hmm.
say, "Oh, like we already had a 10-year plan. The final shape is literally called
The
the
final shape.
final shape."
Hmm.
I know it's in the Destiny lore it means something else, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Hey, well, why don't we get this team that just shipped Demon Souls, who's amazing at remakes, to
Hmm.
remake all of Destiny 1 as like a Destiny classic, and we can
Hmm.
dual out those 3 years of content over 2
As we
years,
work, as we
and
work on
after
something
Final
new.
Shape, Bungie can work on Destiny 3." And
Hmm.
then after the final shape, you'll have some epilogue content. Maybe it lasts a year. Then that year, we'll announce Destiny 1 Classics coming in a year. And then after that year comes out, people are hyped on this. We have 3 years worth of Destiny 1 content that will divvy out over a year and a half. And then we have the hype build up for Destiny 3, which by that point will be in development for 4 years. So like imagine that. That would have been insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that Bungie's plan to keep going was made sense because I really, like you had mentioned, Final Shape was absolutely incredible.
Hmm.
And so was the Witch Queen. Honestly, Lightfall was, and the only reason Lightfall exists is because the Final Shape was taking too long, effectively.
Hmm. Because Lightfall was supposed to be the end. Like if
Yeah,
you remember when they announced
it
Beyond
was.
Light, Witchwind, and Lightfall.
So that
So
was all just like a MacGuffin filler
mhm,
episode, basically, which
yeah.
is why people don't like it. But um, no, I'm just super sad. I made a clan before the game came out, before the beta came out. You can make it on Bungie Net. I was somebody who was already going to Bungie Net all the time for the forums and like all the
Hmm.
Halo stats and stuff like that. I remember the teases for this game in Halo DST. I've been waiting
Yes,
so
I
long
remember that.
for this. You had brought up earlier, World of Warcraft is like one of, well, it's probably my second favorite game of all time
Mhm, behind Halo 2. Hmm.
behind Halo 2.
Hmm.
And the one thing that I hate about World of Warcraft is I missed the beginning. Like I didn't play it when it first came out. And
Hmm.
so if World of Warcraft is my second favorite game ever, and the only thing that that's makes me sad about is that I missed the beginning, and Halo is my other most favorite game of all time.
Hmm.
This is just literally both of them combined. So
Yeah,
like when
literally,
yeah,
literally,
yes.
in every way you can slice it. It really was like, especially after the 2.0 update of Destiny 1, that they, from what I understand, the quest system straight out of WoW. and that was a Luke Smith kind of like a
Very
brainchild,
similar.
right? Yeah, so it was.
Raids are right out of WoW, like the way that
Mhm.
how mechanically deep they are. But yeah, I had the clan. I was hyped at like, and there's also this convergence too of where I have a friend group that plays tons of Halo, and I have a friend group that plays World of Warcraft, and we all come together into this clan that I make, and we have bots that are designed to help run a Discord for the clan. We have raid nights scheduled, and we have like people's dads in the clan who have trouble with the raids, but we help them through it. Like it was all I play. Like any good game, like any good game that came. Want to know why I never played or beat Red Dead 2? Quote
Because you
unquote,
were
what
playing
the second
Forsaken.
best game? What Red Dead 2 came out when Forsaken came out.
Yeah,
Like, want to know why? Like, it took me like 4 years to play The Witcher 3,
because
Destiny.
we were playing House of Wolves. I didn't play Witcher 3 because I was like so in love with Prison of Elders in the in with House of Wolves, because both of those things came out the same day. I
Yeah,
literally said I played the tutorial of Witcher, then I was like, okay, server stability started. I'm gonna go finish up the campaign for House of Wolves, which was short, and then I started playing Prison of Elders. And I was like, crap, and I kept playing more. And I kept playing more, and it was my goal to like get through all of that through. And then also Trials of Osiris was introduced there, and getting to try Trials of Osiris too, and that was such a like such a pure time for Destiny PvP that time, because that was
yeah.
the last word Hawk Moon era, like Thorn, like the hand cannon meta.
Maybe
So
for
it was,
you, we didn't
yeah,
get Hawk Moon.
yeah,
It was
that's right. Because
exclusive.
yeah,
Um, but
but
no,
you got a last word and Thorn. So it was like in yours it was two.
uh,
In us it was like divided in three. The meta.
I think Thorn is probably the gun I have the most kills with because I played a ton of PvP, and yeah,
Uh,
that was it. But
yeah.
oh, dude, it's just
That
like
game would like that would be such like I would never. I was always good with a backlog through the PS3 generation. All like everything that I bought, I would always finish. Destiny screwed me so much that every time that I got a new game after playing a few hours, what I would do, back to Destiny,
yeah.
just to run around, shoot aliens, do bounties, play on the PvP, rerun strikes, and all that. That game was an addiction, and I feel that addiction is because of its gameplay. The feel of that game, there's something about that game, how it feels to pop ahead of an alien there, like the actual like the actual like uh how can I say it? It's kind of like just the way like sensitivity and like the sound design all mixes together to like that feedback that you get for every weapon that you play in that game. It's like it's so hard to describe, but it's like when you feel it, you play it, you feel it, you get it. That game had that in a way many games don't, and that's why it just made so many games not feel like you felt something was missing every time that you wanted to play something else that was in Destiny. It was wild.
So I'm cool with talking about Destiny forever. Just a story that came to my mind that really, when this happened in Destiny, like there's other things that obviously make it amazing, like beating your raids and stuff like that. But this small interaction or the small event that took place really changed it from a game into more of like the reason why I don't know about you, but I literally think Destiny's the game of that generation. Like that is my game of generation, but beyond
Same.
Red Dead, beyond, even though I haven't played it, but
Yeah.
that's my favorite. But I remember early on, okay, so the first weekend, Zur shows up, and I'm like, I don't think this is literally my thought process, and you're gonna see how did you wait, hold on, back up a second. Did you play Destiny 1 a ton? Okay,
Yes.
so you're gonna know
Yeah.
exactly what I'm saying. Zur shows up, he's selling Galahorn. My brain's like, I don't think I want an exotic I don't think I want an
In the
exotic.
rockets.
Yeah, I don't want my exotic to be rocket because I'm not gonna be able to use it that much. I'd rather have an exotic like primary because I'm gonna shoot that all the time. I'll buy the first exotic for Titans because I was playing a Titan was the Helm of Inmost Light. So I was like, I'll buy the
Oh
Helm
yeah.
of Inmost Light, which is it's not Galahorn, but
Uh,
that's kind of what started this because then one of the players in my clan, and I'm the clan leader, so I feel like a bit of responsibility. He's like, oh, I should get that because Zer's leaving, and it's like 14 strange coins. He's like, oh, I only have 10, and I was like, okay, well, I am completely insane and know where they all are because I'm obsessed with this game. And we went and we ended up he ended up having some, but he like didn't have enough. with the ones you get from the chest, and we just sat there just like running strikes and doing stuff mindlessly because he needs two strange coins before 2 a.m. when Zer leaves. And we're just talking about life and talking about this and that. And maybe like 2 or 3 hours of just constant strike. But it's almost like we're playing pool at the bar or playing
Uh,
darts or something. I don't care about what the results of what's happening, but this is just like a social thing. And so, like,
it's a
yes, I was
social hangout.
hardcore. I was raiding. I was the top, trying to get to top PvP. I was meta building and like looking at theory crafting. I was doing all that stuff. But when I wasn't raiding, wasn't playing PvP, or the last hour of the night when we just want to kick our feet up, we're sitting in orbit, sitting at the tower, running around and jumping on the railing, trying not to
Uh-huh.
fall over, trying to like climb stuff you're not
Well,
supposed
just
to
talking
climb,
about life.
but also talking in a group chat with my clan, with my friends. There's like five of us just like having a hangout in the
Mhm.
tower but it's like 2 a.m. and so we can't do it in real life. And it just World of Warcraft is that. Like that is what World of Warcraft, at least what it used to be before retail kind of changed some stuff, but it was this social aspect of it that was beyond just like I'm going into a PvP match and we're trying to win it and then we're in the lobby. It was beyond that. It just felt more like a home. And I think that's why a lot of these streamers, because they're way deeper in it than me, it literally was their home. And
Mhm.
that's why it feels like such a hard loss. And like I think
Yeah.
once that happened in that first week, I was like, okay, well, that was like pretty chill. Like, it's not this,
Mhm.
you can't just do that when you're playing something super competitive, which is what I mostly play. And then it just evolved into this beyond a game. I tell the story all the time about how Halo 2 was my first social network. Um,
Mhm.
After Halo 2 and party chat started to become a thing, it was the same concept. You're still talking to everybody, but it's so scattered. Some people are
Yeah.
super focused on a single player game. Some people are talking about multiplayer like call outs and stuff, and you're whatever. But there's so much bonding that happened with just people. I don't need There's people when I stopped playing, there's people I just fell off with because they were like my friends in
Mhm.
Destiny. They're people I talk
Yeah.
to every day. And it's just the social aspects of Destiny in a from a console perspective is just unbelievable. And it sucks that that's gone. And because there's still like thousands of people that the way we used to play it, they still play it, and now it's just going to be gone. It's crazy.
Mhm. Yeah. It's like I will go back for that update. I already like talked with our clan. We're
Oh, me
actually
too.
like, yeah, we're like, yeah, we're if you're in my clan chat too. It's like we're gonna try to do Pantheon because they're bringing back some of the old if you see the art, it's about like the layers,
Yeah, the
the
first
race
three.
that they took out. So it's like, well, at least they're bringing something back, and Pantheon is now permanent. That's cool. So it's like that's gonna be like at the very least, like we know that if we ever want to relive those memories, that is always gonna be there. It's to me, it's just so sad to know that we may never see another game that will hit like this, because to me, like OG Xbox, I didn't have Xbox Live, so everything was single player for me. 360 era, the only multiplayer experience that I briefly had was Halo 3, and then my 360 Red Ring. Then I moved over to PS3, where the only multiplayer experience that I had was Call of Duty, technically, and whatever Sony multiplayer was there. There was Think Resistance, Kills, and all that. But not even having like you needed to buy like a Bluetooth because the 360 came in with a mic, if you remember. So it's like I didn't really have a social like experience like in the multiplayer set until Destiny in the PS4, and that to me was like, so this is what it's like, huh? To be like in the community. And it just so happened that this game became beyond a game that you just play multiplayer with people, or just like a co-op game. Like I did do like eventually I got a 360 back near the end of that generation with like the Slim S around Halo 4. So I was able to do kind of like that co-op of those campaigns and all that and play. But Destiny was like my first real like social like multiplayer experience, and nothing has hit those highs. And I've tried to find any other game that hits those highs. I've tried with The Division, I tried with Avengers, I tried with nah, I was gonna say Suicide Squad. That barely was a social game. Like Anthem. It's like I try to give like find those games that would hit that spot of like the loot goop of the brain and hanging out in a social space and all that. Nothing hit like Destiny. And I feel there's something about that. Bungie's always known for having the special sauce. It's kind of like similar with I don't like extraction shooters, but Marathon's the one I like. I do feel there's just something the way Bungie makes games that makes you really get into a genre you probably were not gonna do. Like we're not gonna get it, and that's something that will always remember fondly about Destiny. Even in the moments where we always make the joke, Destiny is the game that we hate with our guts that we can't stop playing.
Yeah.
We like it's probably the most toxic relationship that anyone has ever had with a game, and it's a game that we can't stop loving, and we hate that we love it as much as we do. Where we can like shit talk it for all we want, and now that we know it's ending, we're like, man,
Yeah.
our love is gone. I like our love is leaving. It's like it really feels like the nursing home is getting ready for that euthanasia, and that feels really weird. It really feels weird to think about it that way.
Yeah.
But this is the most like it really was 12 years of my life from 2014 till now. Like I
Yeah.
played every single piece of content, all of it. Never have
Yeah.
I done that with him. So
Yeah. The only, yeah, that was the first time I had experience like that. I think that, uh, and this is somewhat irrelevant, but in 2019, when World of Warcraft Classic came out, that was the only thing that was like the same experience, exact same
mhm.
amount of like, and hopefully they do Classic Plus at BlizzCon, but like that was the only thing that came close to Destiny. And yeah, it's just the one thing that's kind of interesting, and this anecdotal, maybe it's not the same for you, but like when my clan fell apart and like people like were not interested in like buying expansions or playing Destiny anymore or whatever,
Mhm.
everybody kind of split into different games because like right when Destiny was kind of starting to like really come out and like the Taken King was out, I feel like that's kind of like right around the time when like big ticket like triple A free to play multiplayer games are like that's right around the time when Fortnite's coming out and Apex is
Yeah.
coming out and whatnot. And so like and Halo Infinite was gonna have free multiplayer and
Mhm.
Battlefield like
Yeah.
and like my big Destiny clan, some people went to play
Mhm.
Fortnite and some people went to play Apex and some people went to this and that and whatever.
Mhm.
And it just now it's so fragmented. It's not like this
Yeah.
giant group of my friends went and we all are playing something else. It's just like it just exploded and everybody's gone. Like they're all in different pockets. And I
Yeah.
can still talk to them, but it's never going to be everybody anymore.
Mhm.
And that's just super sad, man.
I feel that's why we'll always treasure 2014 to 2016 because it was like Destiny didn't have really many competitors. They were like the big ticket. People were trying to emulate Destiny. The Division came out like March 2016, so that was like one of the first that came in for the jugular. Didn't succeed, I would say, even though the Division is a pretty good game. It went to the maintenance mode. I don't know if you remember, it went to like maintenance mode immediately because some of the patches that were releasing were breaking the game, and until they did like a patch 1.4 in the divisions when they finally got good again. And that was never a problem with Destiny. Overwatch was one of the first big, oh, it's this is taking people away, and Rainbow Six Siege is another one that at that time it didn't launch strong enough, but it was like the competition was slowly starting to rack up. Destiny 2, it's the one that came in like at the worst time, quote unquote, because that's around the time Fortnite had just started, because that was 2017, and Fortnite really blew up like in that late 2017, early 2018, and that was kind of like the low point of Destiny's. Before this one, that was a low point of Destiny 2 in Destiny history because of the bad sentiment or you casualized experience. Why is this not like the end of D1? Like it's like where's the depth? Like and they if you remember that roadmap 2018 was like that the roadmap to Forsaken was like slowly get to where we were with the end of Destiny 1. That was the Chris Barrett like well funny enough. He was the one that was in charge
Yeah.
the of fixing all of that, and that was before then all that core group got put into Marathon around that time. But it's like that's why I will always treasure early Destiny, because it was like it felt good being at the groundswell of that. And it also probably I keep saying that to a guy from my clan named KB. Why do live services struggle so much now? Like the biggest advantage Destiny had was that it didn't launch on Steam when it came out. No one was gawking at player numbers at any point. They just let those games just grow naturally. Those lives, why are those live services still popular? It's so funny. That 2014, 2017 era of live service game, they are still alive, technically, because it's like they were able to live without a bitch in anyone's ear, be like, look at the player numbers. That became once what you call it like once like Steam became so ubiquitous for live service. Everyone started being like, how many people are playing this? And that became the identity of multiplayer. And I feel like that's a big benefit of what happened to Destiny. It's so funny that then the Steam charts are the ones that killed it later, because everyone was like, that's
Yeah.
kind of like the irony of eventually getting there. But it's like, that's why I'll always appreciate that, because we got to see a franchise grow without those outside factors. Even when it was stumbling, it's like we always knew that it was a very successful video game, because it was.
Yeah.
It really was one of the biggest launches in the early generation. It was. Destiny was big for a reason. It just
Yep.
then plateaued and stayed there. But us that remain there. I still say like content bolting still the biggest mistake that thing ever did. That's always gonna be the thing that prevented it from keeping growing, because it kept the player that were in, but it was hard to bring people back. And I tried hard with my brother because he was an early D1 player, and I tried bringing him back, but it was too hard and too complicated to bring back in. So
Yeah.
that's always gonna be its imperfect legacy, but I'll hold on to the great memories
Yep.
forever.
And it was Destiny 1 was my last midnight launch in person. They stopped doing
Same.
them. Yep.
I went with a friend. I didn't even buy it because I bought it digitally, but I had friends that were gonna buy it, so I went with them. Anyway, I was like, I'll go with you, even though I didn't buy it. Let's go get this. It was a fellow RAs. I remember.
There was like
Oh, let's remember.
we'll wrap this part up in a second, but when I went to the midnight launch, there was like probably it was crazy, maybe like 40 people there, and 39 of them were there to get Destiny, and one guy was just there to pick up NHL whatever that year, 15 or something, and then he ended up buying Destiny because we were all just clowning him the whole time. But no, Destiny, like I said, it's the game of that generation. It's my probably literally three all time, number three all time. I put a lot of emphasis on the social aspects of the games that are at the top of my list, and it's not. There's still it's not like fully snuffed out. Like there's, I mean, Bungie's not deleted. Sony's still investing high in them. It does make me a little
To be
worried.
fair to them, it's like thankfully we don't know if it's just because they want to save face or because they're seeing something we don't. But even Alinea Analytics said it. It's like the few people that are really engaged in Marathon are really really engaged, and now they're trying to see how they can broaden that aspect. Obviously, I think you mentioned is like your worry is that this very laser focused experience is not gonna be tried to be made into the all game with like shooting. Like now there's mentioning like we're gonna introduce more PVE stuff, PVE only stuff, and all that. And
Yeah,
would that like satisfy? Like, because I remember the big criticism that playing early Destiny was like, I remember I vividly is like being like, it's a game that's trying to be a jack of all trades but a master of none. That's kind of like a because it's like it's MMO but it's light. It doesn't have all these features. It wants to be a PvP game, but it's missing like even private matches. That was like the big addition in Rise of Iron. If you remember, there was like finally we're gonna be able to do private matches.
how
There
many
may
times
be
did you do private PvP matches?
one time,
Yeah, me too.
one time, yeah,
One
one
time,
time,
and I
yeah,
played PvP almost every day.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's sad. I really hope that they continue Destiny. I'm not necessarily super worried for Bungie. I do think it's
Mm-hmm,
a bit sus that the language they use of we're continuing to listen to pitches is what Blue
mm-hmm,
Point said they said to them a year
yeah.
before. But no, I mean Bungie doesn't make bad games, and I think Sony knows that. Um,
Mm-hmm,
I really, really, really hope that they the idea that they're pitching is literally Destiny 3. Like
mm-hmm,
I think it's such a mistake to abandon one of the most rabid fan bases in video games because this is
mm-hmm,
not like you can't just come back in like 10 or 20 years and be like, oh, a new Mega Man game and get people
mm-hmm.
excited because it's not that type of
Yeah,
connection. This is
I'm
gonna get weaker and weaker the greater the
yeah,
distances between now and Destiny 3.
I'm hoping that everyone starts seeing like how sad everyone is at this news. Like that's what I'm hoping, and I'm also hoping that everyone coming back for like the groundswell goodbye makes enough noise so that they can kind of be like, oh,
Yeah.
people still like this. I think that's probably what's happening. I do feel this is a decision based on how like Edge of Fate and Renegades went with like the excitement and the player number. So that was always gonna be tough. The first thing you do after your big ending, especially immediately after your big groundswell ending was always gonna be tough. And obviously, like on top of them launching this new IP that they had been cooking for so long. I feel there's different nuances to really see analyze what was happening with all of that. I do feel that it's always like the big like man, what could have been? It's always gonna be like, what if Bungie was never bought for this amount of, for the amount of money that they got that they overspent for them? Because I do feel that's probably the thing that's like hurting the decision making at the top, because it's like all their things that we spent $3.6 billion now, our entire live service our live service like plans have kind of gone sideways. We're still in, but not like we were that we're betting the entire house on it. But Bungie was like, they promised us the thing and then they missed 45% of their earnings for Lightfall. So it's like, we don't trust them to properly validate like what that's insane to me that they were expecting that much and they like missed the mark so like bad, because here 45% missed earnings, like how are you still in business? That's wild. I can get like 20, but they're like, that's, they really, the leadership at the top of Bungie oversold the bill of goods to Sony, probably, despite like the fact that it was still a relatively healthy company. But they also became too ambitious. Remember, it's like they bought that big new building. They wanted to be, literally, I remember when they bought that new building, what they said, they wanted to be Riot. We want to be a world-class developer that has multiple games in development. Think Riot. I think they specifically said think Riot with that. So it's like, that's always going to be the thing that will always be like, what could have been if that they had not gotten so over ambitious during that growth era of COVID. I don't know, because that's when they bought that building. Because I feel like Sony's at fault for having full, because it's like, you cannot be that stupid to have it fall in like full hook, line, and sinker to what they were selling you, not knowing what you were getting to, now to the point that you feel like you're constantly like now devaluating because like you just overpaid. I feel they have a fault at that, and I don't feel they have to get scot free for having fallen, because I feel like someone should have been like a little bit more intelligent to not just accept that deal and just accept. I do feel that that was a panic buy at the
Oh,
time.
it
Yeah.
was 100% a panic buy,
Hmm. Yeah.
100%. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful for the future of Destiny. I think
Hmm.
that the sad thing is that even if they somehow see this groundswell of support and they change their mind, that means that Destiny 3 is at least like 4 to 5 years away. So,
Hmm.
uh, what happens in the meantime, it's I don't know. I still think Destiny Classic would be a banger, especially if got a PC release. I feel like it's a lot easier to remaster a game just
It's
to,
an ECW. It's an ECW. That's such an ECW for like all the nostalgia
and
that
there's
people have for that original game.
a blueprint of how it works exactly with WoW Classic, which was extremely successful for Blizzard. But yeah, it sucks. I think that we could sit here and talk about Destiny memories all day. It was a
That could be
fantastic
its own
game.
episode.
Yeah,
That literally could be its own
I have
episode for sure.
endless Destiny stories.
Same
Um,
here.
Last thing I want to talk about briefly before we talk about what we were playing and then end is you know what, it was going to be the state of the industry, but I think we kind of talked about that in a million
Yeah.
different ways leading up to
Yeah.
this. So why don't you just talk about what you would pick for your game of the year so far at the halfway point?
Yes. It is a battle in my mind between the two big Capcom games, Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata. And Requiem was such a high quality Resident Evil game. It was so peak in so many plays. It was such a perfect blend of having the survival horror and the action side with that one overwhelming the other. Like too definitively. That was always going to be the worry, because there's always like that battle of attrition between the camp that loves action Resident Evil, the camp that love the full survival horror game, and I feel that game unified both camps in a way that made sense. And in fact, even raised the profile of even the lesser entries like Resident Evil 6, I would say, because like there's craziness that's similar to that game, and they were able to pull it off here. And I feel it felt confident about the entirety of the story of the history of Resident Evil, that it felt like a great celebration for the 30 years of that brand, and it left me smiling. It delivered. It was like my most anticipated game going heading into early in the year, and it delivered. And I'm glad that it did, because it could have disappointed by just on the hype alone. But Pragmata was a big surprise, and to me, in my mind, is like, I like when something surprises me. I expected nothing of Pragmata beyond being something that could come out okay based on the long dev time, because that was announced in 2020, got indefinitely delayed. Then it showed up again. It had a cool new idea and all that. But I feel like Pragmata was like such a great reminder of like the tight single player experience. It brought back the Xbox 360 slash PS3 era of experimental these kinds of games that could happen. That could happen. It's like the vibe from the director from Metal Gear Solid Revenge, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. He directed Pragmata. You feel so much of that energy in all the little things in this game. The hacking mini game of that game is like it seems dumb. Like it'd be like, man, it's like you're constantly like hacking and shooting, but it adds such a dynamic like tension to the combat because it adds like quick strategy of who are you gonna hack, what hack you're gonna do to hack all these robots at the same time, how that combat keeps like growing in different permutations to something that's so uniquely original while still being a very classic chunky third person shooter, all wrapped up in a very like the antithesis of the sad dad simulator in the happy dad because basically your character is basically just a cheerful guy that's taking care of this robot that is basically just like a happy dad taking care of a girl, and that relationship is so wholesome, and the way it ends really like tugs at the heartstrings. You if you go look at reactions to the ending of Pragmata, you see, especially if someone's a dad, you see a lot of people like break down with that ending because like it's so like I feel like if you're a parent, you would do what this character would do for us, and
I think
it's
I'm
kind of because,
like, I don't want to talk too much about the ending because I didn't finish it yet. I'm like
yeah, yeah.
maybe like
I will.
60-70% through it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I will say when I first saw it, I thought, okay, oh, hacking, okay. I mean, it's
yeah,
Capcom, it's probably good. And then they're like, oh, there's a demo on Steam, and I was like, okay, I'll download the demo. And then I played the demo, and the first time you kill something after hacking it, you're just like, well, that actually felt like really good, like that,
uh
because
huh,
especially with like hell divers being not that far away.
uh huh.
Um,
It feels like you're doing the
but yeah,
stratagems constantly. That's kind of
yeah,
like what it reminded me when I played. I played the demo. The same demo that was in Steam is the demo from Summer Game Fest that me and Ray got to test. And I remember back then I was like, that's interesting because there's like a feedback loop of like the chunkiness of like that slow of hacking someone, and then you unloading the chunkiest shotgun in the one of the chunkiest shotguns in the history of the medium. Like this the really cool aesthetic, that kind of like moonlight, like a retrofuturist aesthetic that was some of my favorite things with a game like Starfield, like when you're kind of like just out in labs and all that. It's like that. I just love that aesthetic so much. Like that game is so pleasing in so
yeah,
many ways. But like I would love to see like how the ending hits you because like for that it's a really good
yeah,
one. I would say that. So it's like
yeah,
that is my you probably can infer what happens, so I'll just leave it at that.
yeah. I mean,
But
no,
yeah. So,
yeah, it's the last. I don't know anything about what happens, and don't like blink twice or whatever.
mhm,
I'll just say that I find it tough to get through the beginning of The Last of Us. Um,
mhm,
and so, but I am gonna finish. I am gonna finish Pragmata. I will let you know how it ended.
mhm.
Is that what you're gonna pick? Is Pragmata?
I think I'm gonna pick because of the surprise. Yes, I'm gonna pick Pragmata so far because I feel I love surprises because it's like I feel those are the best kinds of gaming experiences because when something just meets expectations, it's not as cool as something that exceeds or surprises without even having expectation. I feel those are the best
Yeah,
kinds of those are the best kinds of gaming experiences.
I
So
agree because that was definitely some of what made up the wind in the sales of Expeditions 33 for me
mhm,
last year. Similar thing. I had no expectations for it, and that's my game of the year by far.
mhm,
But I am glad that you picked Pragmatic because I am going to pick Resident Evil.
mhm,
Um, I will say a disclaimer here. I actually I haven't got to play it yet, despite owning it, and it's literally installed and sitting right there. Just based on what I see and what I hear, I actually think that my pick might change by the end of the year to Crimson Desert. It just feels
mhm.
like it could end up being like complete garbage, like everyone's telling me it is. But based on what I'm seeing, it feels
Yeah.
like a game for me. But for now, I will pick Resident Evil. I'm a huge fan of the more recent games, specifically like 4 and 7. Those are
Mhm,
my two favorite Resident Evil games. And I think I was so hyped for Village, and I love Village. Like
mhm.
everyone clowns on it. What was isn't there
Village
like
is really good.
isn't there a horrible take on
Season gaming that six is
is
better
it
than Village for someone
I think
for
it's
Vogue.
Hogue, yeah. unhinged. But the thing that kind of sucks because the premise of 6 from me when I was first talking or like first like reading about it when it was like rumored and whatnot was that it's gonna or not 6, I'm talking about 8.
Mhm,
That's the one I've been trying to talk about this entire time, and not
mhm,
6. When the premise of that was to combine 4 and 7, but they were
mhm,
combining it by like taking them and squishing them together, which
mhm,
ended up being an awesome game with really cool moments and cool characters, but it wasn't as good as 6 or 7.
mhm.
But with 9, they took like a it's like if 8 was like a
A mush.
like a food cart combining
Mhm,
your favorite foods. Uh 9 is like a fine dining chef, like meticulously combining those two things so that the
mhm,
balance of the flavor is like perfect in every bite or whatever. Because the decision to cut the game in half basically and have like these two protagonists that have the same interconnected storyline that you'd expect from like the
mhm.
older games, but have like this drastic gameplay shift. Because part of the reason why the action scenes suck in not suck, but they're not as good as in 8 is because you're Ethan Winters, who's somebody
Mhm.
who needs to be capable enough to shoot a gun, but also
Yeah.
like absolutely not capable enough to have to hide and
Yeah.
squirm. So the
Ethan was just not congruent to the Ethan we saw in 7. That was kind of like the problem. It was like them, they brought the perspective of of Village, but most of the tone was 4. That's why that's why like that mix didn't work as well as Requiem, where they worked really hard to make sure that the survival horror experience felt very survival horror. The character that is suffering the survival horror felt like it was like barely making it perfect for that setting, and the action hero could be like the ultimate badass and
yes,
have those things, and that's why they
and
nailed
it's
it there
so good. My
compared to 8.
yes, and
So
it's such a good. It's so the only if I had to give you one complaint, it's that it's too short, even though it's not even short. I
yeah,
wanted to keep going.
yeah,
Um, I hope that in some weird way they're able to like keep this storyline with these characters going. I don't know,
mhm,
but I yeah, and that I would say that's my game of the year for sure so far. Although again, I just something is compelling to me about Crimson Desert, and I
yeah.
can't put my
I,
foot on it.
I would say Crimson Desert definitely is a game that you should get for Black Friday after all these patches show up, because the game that I played at launch, well, you have it there.
I
Open
have the
it till
limited
yeah,
edition.
that has like a cloth map in it. That's the one that Dawn also got like and got the game
Okay.
later. Crack that thing open by November, because they keep updating that thing so much that I feel like whatever that game reviewed initially feels like it's worthy for re-review. It sucks for all the reviewers that spent all the time early on, because they changed so much from
It
like what it
just
was. It's like they've been really diligent about it.
it
So
feels like to me the stuff I like about Tears of the Kingdom mixed with
mhm,
like the stuff I find so interesting in a funny way in like Yakuza, where it's just like
mhm.
so weird
Yeah,
and
it's over the top.
but it's so like but it's mixed with this Tears of the Kingdomness where you're like,
Mhm.
I need to get over there. I can just do the most insane things to get there, or I can interact with things in such. It's what's the term that the type of games that like Arcane used to make immersive sim? It's
Immersive
like
sim,
the
yeah.
Assassin's Creed immersive sim or something like that. And I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just it's
so Assassin's Creed in like the way it looks and so many. And, like you could think of Valhalla, and it would kind of you would picture a lot of Crimson Desert in that.
yeah.
It is either one of the most impressive open worlds, and to me, like with that, it's like this is the year where I come in with a lot of open world fatigue, and I'm trying to like ease on that fatigue for a lot. And also, I reviewed very big games that were open, like Dragon Quest Seven Reimagined and Monster Hunter Stories 3. That Crimson Desert sandwich there was like, sorry, I can't. I can't right now. I can only do like the tide thing right now, and and it's been really nice to
Yeah.
kind of like get something more tighter right now, because eventually, like whenever the open world mood hits, I'm gonna go back to Crimson Desert. For now, it's kind of like just chilling there for me,
Yeah,
and the fact that it keeps getting updated.
that's the
So
problem that it has for me is like if I'm not playing it right now, like in a couple of days, it's just going to be a deluge of games I want to
mhm,
play. But
yeah,
I did buy it, so there's that. That's the thing.
hmm
Like they give you, they're like, oh, pay $10 extra and you get this little
uh-huh.
box. And I buy it, but like 007, I'm like maybe I won't get it because like what's the difference if I get it? The only difference is maybe it'll be cheaper. Like it's not like a
Uh-huh.
limited edition. It's not like a steel book that it could run out. It's not something. Those things matter to people like me who collect physical games and are kind of psychotic.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I,
I
I
honestly,
just pre-ordered. I just pre-ordered 007 today because of the 24-hour early access. So
yeah,
I did it, and it
I
was the price of the regular. They were giving you the digital deluxe edition just by pre-ordering. So that was
yeah. Oh
cool.
yeah, it's might be worth. Yeah, I haven't ruled it out completely.
Mhm.
But I will say, and we won't talk about it because I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot in the future, the rest of the year. But the back half of this year definitely looks a lot. Not that the first half was bad. There's tons
Mhm.
of great games,
Yeah.
but the back half looks completely insane.
Yeah, this year has been very. It feels like a holding pattern to GTA 6 almost. It feels like kind of like the moment where the industry is just building towards that big moment, and everything feels just like a stepping stone to that.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get out of this year so we can finally get out of the throes of expecting GTA 6 and what that game is supposed to do for the industry, because I would love to just have the hype move to something else personally, because I'm not, also
GTA
not a
6
big.
DLC.
Oh man, imagine. And 5 never got it. It just got put everything into GTA Online. So,
Yeah, which
but
I
I'm
heard is
also,
good. I don't know. I haven't played
yeah,
much.
I'm just not big on GTA 5. Yeah, that's a game that I forced myself to beat, and I never went back to it. So that's why, like, I love Red Dead 2 though. I absolutely love Red Dead 2. So it's like I wish I could be like, man, the next game from the guys that gave me Red Dead 2 is here, but it just feels different because those games have different vibes, and I love the story of Red Dead 2 so much.
Yeah.
So that's why it feels different. But excited
Speak.
for the industry to be excited.
Yeah. Speaking of games you love, let's close here with a little chat about what we are playing. You want to go first? Are you playing
Yes.
any games?
Yep, I'm currently playing Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. So that's kind of like the game that I've been currently streaming over this past week. I obviously am a big Batman Arkham fan, and I like the Lego games a lot. But some of the Lego games depends on the subject matter for me to really, really get into them. Like last one obviously was Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, and I felt that was a really good one, but had a lot of problems with some movies were just more boring than the others, or the ones that should have not been boring were, and the ones that should have been boring weren't. So it had like a weird tempo for me, but it was a really great game, even with those problems. I feel this Lego game, like, I feel like that whole thing where they're homaging a lot of visual, that they're paying homage to so much of Batman iconography, but they're not just rerunning the movies. It's actually telling like its own story. It's actually working really well because it's
Nice.
like it's keeping it engaging in like in the comedy, because like it's a really funny game. Like it bounces around the movies that it's spoofing like so often, but while still remaining like its own thing. That's kind of like what keeps it very amusing. Like you literally go from the Batman to Batman Begins to the Batman again to Batman 89 to then Batman to then the Dark Knight to then Batman Returns, like kind of like that, how it's like it's giving like homages and some certain lines, but at no point it's just basically reliving the movies with just like comedy. It still feels like its own thing. And shocked as it can be, like it does a good facsimile of the Batman Arkham combat.
Well,
Like that,
or
yeah,
no,
it is
never
the
mind. Was it? I was
yeah,
gonna
it's the
say
Batman
the
Arkham
the
combat.
007 game. I read that the Arkham guys
Has
there.
the yeah,
That's
it's
what
so
I was.
funny
That
we get.
yeah. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's Rocksteady actually worked in this Lego game. They're in the credits, so they probably consulted with. Obviously, it doesn't have the weight of the
Yeah.
Batman Arkham comic because it's like these are Lego. It's like this is like obviously the Lego version of that, and obviously it's also easier. Even though this is the first game that actually has difficulty for Lego, so you can put it in the hardest difficulty to have lives, and it overwhelms you with so many enemies. So you could theoretically find a way to like find challenge in a series that usually it's not about the challenge, it's about the cozy vibes of all that. And I'm finding that it's like it's working better than I was expecting. Initially I was like, oh, this the comment, I don't see the Arkham in this. It's like, where's the counter? And it's like, no, they're waiting to give the mechanics. Eventually it's like it starts growing the mechanics, and then you bring in other characters that have their unique abilities too, and you can switch between them like in the combat. And I'm finding the game perfectly charming. I'm finding the game like perfectly, even if it's an open world. I feel it's like it's hitting a level of comfort right now, and the fact that we haven't had a Batman game, like legit Batman game, in 11 years, it feels
It's
like it's,
insane.
which is insane, because like we deviated to Gotham Knights, that live service that wasn't, and then obviously Suicide Squad, the the disastrous that disaster's kind of like waste of time for Rocksteady. And will main Rocksteady ever get to Batman again? I would hope, but at the very least, this Lego game is like feels like it's honoring and celebrating Batman in a nice way. It has like the right kind of humor that can appeal to older people. There's an American Psycho reference which I found insane. That I was like, "Are you really referencing America?" Obviously because of Christian Bale, but it's so
Yeah.
funny that actually it has kind of like those hallmark parodies for other things beyond the subject matter that can appeal to grown-ups, but it just feels nice to be reminded that Batman's such a cool character. And for as popular as that character is, shockingly, he's been very underserved in recent times
Yeah.
in games. So it's like it feels like a nice. If this was how we were gonna get a Batman game quickly after Suicide Squad, I'm glad it happened. It's a really fun game. It was like if we were to like the score, I would say it's like an 8 game, like in that kind of game. It's like it's a pretty solid game, solid great game. I'm really liking it. So it's like if you like Batman, you like Lego, and you're itching just to be in that world and have some fun, and you have some fun couch co-op time with your significant other or your kid and all that, definitely could give a Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight a go. Like, not regretting it like at all. Like, it's probably one of the best Lego games, if not
Sweet.
the best Lego game. So
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick it up at some point. I can't decide if I want to get it on Xbox or PlayStation. I'm thinking
mhm,
probably it would be a pretty good game for the Portal, so I
mhm,
might end up going that way. But I love
yeah,
Batman. I'm super excited for it. I'll probably like love all the references. I've grown up
mhm.
with those movies. Love those movies.
Shockingly well optimized game for UE5 too. I tested it both on Pro and the base PS5. This game has no PS5 Pro enhancements, so if
Okay.
like it's just running it on boost mode. But base PS5 version is like I feel like they've used the tech well because UE5 can be like either a blurry mess on console or it can the tech can be
Yeah.
used good. It's like it's a really shockingly nice looking game for a Lego game. In fact, like
Sweet.
I've seen some people use the photo mode and zoom in all the way to 11. You kind of see like that little texture of some Lego that some Legos have and like reflections. Like, why did it go so hard with this? This is a Lego game, but I'll take the extra.
Nice.
I'll take the extra. It's a really good game. So
Any other games you wanted to bring up?
um I am halfway done through Saros. I streamed that through its early access period, and then after that I moved on to I wanted to do like a retrospective on Uncharted because Uncharted 4 turned 10
Nice.
like this year. So I went through all the Uncharted games again. I like Saros, but there's something about it that after reaching chapter 2, I'm not feeling compelled to go back to it like feverly. Part of that is that I never beat Returnal. I actually went back to Returnal, and I'm finding kind of like the feedback loop of Returnal really addicting. Also very masochistic. Returnal is a much harder game than Saros. Saros is hard. It's hard for me, but I can definitely tell that the difficulty dial is definitely dialed down from what Returnal is, which was a true get good or get fucked game.
Yeah.
And so that's more like that. So I don't know if it's because I just out of my own completionist, I want to see Returnal first before finishing up Saros. But I feel Saros is a perfectly sanded off version of Returnal. It's it plays well. I like some of the mechanical improvements they did, where most everything you do is now here in the triggers, where before you have to do a lot of like attacks and grabbing like in the face button for a game that is so like kinetic, like sticking like with everything on the controller. It feels like the right evolution of that control scheme for like what you need to do. I like the there's like a parry and the shields thing that adds an interesting like feedback loop that reminds me a lot of Doom Eternal. How like you remember in Doom Eternal, if you run out of bullets, what do you need it to do? Get in with the chainsaw to
Yeah.
recharge some things. So it's like it feels like it has a very specific loop that it asks from you that can be really satisfying when you get into like the flow state. So if you like Doom Eternal, I feel like Saros is can hit on that. Though it's just not. I don't feel it's hitting on the kind of like the masochistic triumphs that Returnal made its bones for. But it's still a pretty good game, I would say. It's just it's still there. Like, it's still kind of sitting there because I finished replaying Uncharted and moved on to
Yeah.
Lego because so those are kind of like the games. And I beat Pragmat on stream too. So
Nice.
those
Yeah,
are kind of like the games.
I'm actually at the second biome of Sorrows as well, and I've been playing other stuff too. It's just it didn't pull me in. I definitely don't really have any bad things to say about it. It
Uh,
seems like
that's
really
kind of like exactly.
sanded off
There's
version of
nothing.
Returnal is like a really good description.
Mhm,
Yeah, I definitely want to finish it. We'll see when I get to it.
mhm,
in terms of what I'm playing, I'm kind of just like scatterbrained right now with like a bunch of different things because a lot of my focus is on grinding ranked in Marvel
Hmm.
Rivals because I really wanted to play
Yeah.
something that's I was really getting tired of extraction because I love the
Hmm.
concept, but I hate like if you do lose, like because I
Hmm.
just PvP in them. Like I don't
Yeah.
it so it's like 50-50. You're either dead or you're like way up.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
excited for season 2 for a fresher start and then more permanently adding like duo modes and all of that because I usually played with my brother and we were always queuing a third one that wasn't chatting with us, so that was always screwing us over. So I'm excited for kind of like those additions or when they never they add other stuff for marathon. But right now, like marathon, like it's so because the end of the season is so absolutely sweaty that it's like it's not fun. It's not fun to go
yeah,
in. It's like
I
it's just
just
demoralizing.
I got I I wasn't really there. Like I mean, I'm not like pro or anything, but like I would say our win rate's like really like pretty decent.
Hmm.
I never really thought it was too hard or too sweaty. My problem
Hmm.
is like when you do lose, like I just am like shit. I'm pissed that we lost. I want to get back in and go. And
Uh-huh.
it's like no, you have to make band-aids and make shield things and get ammo and blah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
that
unless
part
you go
just
with a
becomes so
sponsor
tedious.
kit.
Whereas
Yeah.
if you lose in a BR, you just queue and you're back in.
Hmm.
Or in the case of Marvel, I told them pick any PvP game, and like the one I was hoping they didn't pick was Marvel Rivals, and that's what they went
Yeah.
with. But so I'm
It's so
not
funny.
like
Every Friday I've been playing Marvel Rivals because I become friends with a streamer called Speedy Slots who rated me that plays a lot of PvP and she plays Marvel Rivals on Fridays and she invited me and I would play with her and a bunch of her friends. It was chill. We're playing like the PvE mode that was vampires, the vampire kind of like horde mode that's there. Like
oh, okay.
we played that a lot. So it's like I
Ye-
enjoy that game like as a good like I don't think it's the deepest thing, but you get into nice flow sometimes in that
Yeah,
one.
but we're just playing only playing ranked. Like
Different
when
language.
I sorry when I
You're
meant when I said I want to play competitive, like I want to like grind
you went right.
ranks. I don't want to like get I don't want to like grind quests and stuff to get like this really good gear that I probably won't even use because I'm too scared to lose it. I just want to
Hmm.
like consistently try to push for higher ranks in a competitive game. That's what I was.
Hmm.
That's why I'm not really like neck deep into anything big, but I am playing some small stuff that I wanted to quickly talk about.
Quick question with that with one of the small because I saw like similar games. Like, are you playing Luna Abyss on Xbox?
I tried it today.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
I tried it yesterday.
I wasn't
So
gonna talk about. Talk about the thing that with Luna Abyss. I think that's the first game I've ever seen where like it's almost unplayable if you don't have an OLED. The first level, I couldn't see
so dark.
anything.
It's so
It's
freaking
so
dark. Yeah.
dark and it's so
Yeah.
like smoke. It's just like, what is this?
Uh,
When you get a bit further, it cleans up a little bit, but it's a little bit rough around the edges. I think that the combat has potential to get pretty fun, but I'm not that
mhm.
far. Maybe like an hour
Yeah.
max.
I
Um,
got a second. Do you get the second weapon?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I made it to that too. So, like, I played it briefly yesterday just because I was like browsing Game Pass and I saw it there because it was a recent edition. So I was like, Luna Abyss, and I saw that because you know it shows you game friends that played games. I saw you playing. I was like, is it? And then I looked at, oh, this is new. I was like, and I downloaded it. And I started playing. I was like, a nice idea of like it kind of feels like a Doom game, but definitely slower. Um, I like the aesthetic when you can see it,
But
and
like it's
especially when
kind
you
of
can
like
see it.
Returnal or Sorrows too. That's what I was
Uh huh.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's but not as punishing. I was well, but I didn't put it
No.
at the hardest difficult. I put it like at the second highest, just to kind of like
I
see. I
don't
think it
think
was
it's a
called Scout.
roguelike either though. It's
Uh
I haven't died, but I haven't it doesn't seem
huh.
like a roguelike to me.
Yeah, it checkpoints you. So
Yeah, I think that I actually, funnily, I probably would have had like 2 or 3 hours played, but like when I didn't play it until like 2 or 3 hours ago. So when you saw that, I had it opened because I wanted to
uh huh.
play it, and I was like, I was on my TV. I was like, there's no way that it looks like this. There's something wrong with my TV.
Uh huh.
And I spent
Yeah.
hours like fixing settings on my
Looking.
TV, turning
Yeah.
HDR on and off on my PlayStation, resetting stuff, restarting,
Uh huh.
unplugging because I was like, there's no way it looks like this. That's just what it looks
Yeah.
like. I then moved to my OLED. I was like, it looks slightly better, but still
Hmm.
awful. But it's only like
Yeah.
the
It's
tutorial
dark.
area. Once you get
It's
like
just
further in, it's not as bad, but it's still honestly kind of bad. Like I don't know. Maybe it's an artistic choice, but I really because like the first level that you're in, it feels like you're in the Black Spindle quest basically, but like with the lights off completely and everything's red. Do you know what I'm talking about in
Mhm.
Destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. So I know that I can go in a place like this and still see everything perfectly fine. There's
Uh,
something that they're doing. I don't know. I don't really like that, but it does feel a little bit fun to play. But that wasn't really the games I was going to talk about.
mhm.
I want to shout out a game that I'm playing with my daughter. She asked me to play Hello Neighbor again, and I was like, I can't play that game. I beat it like 14 times. Hello Neighbor 2. And I was like, let's find
Uh,
another game that's like spooky, but not like horrifying.
mhm.
And so I was like, I had the chapter 1 of what's it called? It's like that game where you're running from like this like clown, this blue fuzzy thing. Oh my,
Oh my
oh,
god, no,
it's
it's
not Five Nights at
Killer
Freddy's. It's
uh, Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That one.
it's gonna bug me. This is not even the game I
Yeah.
want to mention. It's just we played the first chapter of this game and
Uh,
beat it, and then I realized like the other chapters were like stupidly expensive for like what the game is. So then I looked at my game shelf and found a similar game that I have called Bendy and the Ink Machine, which is the game I was going to talk about, which is not, it's effectively the same thing as this game I can't think of, where you're just, it's like a survival horror game, but like you're like in this case you're in like this like cell shaded like wooden giant factory where they made comic books that are like Cuphead style like pinup
mhm,
comic books, and then there's this demonic ink guy that you're trying to like solve puzzles and get around. And I've been
mhm,
playing that with her. She doesn't like watch. She does like the thing where she has her iPad. She's like, I'm watching, and like is scared of what's gonna happen. But it's just been pretty fun. The game's not very scary, but the jump scares get her a little bit. Um, but I just thought that was pretty fun. The other things that there's a couple indies I wanted to talk about. I've been kind of cruising Game Pass as well. Call of the
mhm.
Elder Gods.
How's that one? Because that's another one that I was like, should I download this?
Have you played Call of the Sea?
I played briefly. Is it similar?
It's basically the sequel to
It
that.
basically is a sequel. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then
So it's a first person, very well made, I will say, very good voice performances. I really like the artistic design. I love the art style. It's a first person kind of like adventure, more like an old school style adventure where you're not like climbing, swinging on ropes and stuff like Uncharted, but you're just like finding clues, solving puzzles and whatnot. If you liked Call of the Sea, I would say this is a must play. I think Call of the Sea is one of the better games like that,
Mhm,
and this game seems like it's really good as well. There's like a Cthulhu, like Lovecraftian kind of atmosphere. The story is very
mhm.
Lovecraftian. If you like that stuff, it's also pretty cool. And the last game I wanted to talk about was uh, another Game Pass game that I've been kind of addicted to called Black Jacket.
Black Jacket. I saw that one too. Like, what's that one about?
Yeah, so if you've played a Balatro,
Mm-hmm.
you've played that. So it's basically Balatro, but with blackjack. You take that concept, blackjack Balatro, and you just combine it with Hades. The way that the story's delivered and the progression works in Hades, it's that plus blackjack Balatro with a really cool kind of like basically you're a guy who's trying to play blackjack to escape hell, and like
Mm-hmm.
the different entities of hell you play against, and they have different storylines and stuff that unfolds as you progress. But the loop of like creating these busted hands and these broken decks to try to like kind of cheat at blackjack, because there's different ways that the cards interact with each other, similar to Balatro. It's just, yeah, it's super well made, super fun, and it has that nothing like revolutionary, but a somewhat of a narrative hook to keep you more likely to
Ooh,
do that one more turn. And
yeah. Which
yeah,
Baltor didn't really have. That one really was just the gameplay pushing you. So
yeah, absolutely.
from like what I remember when I played it. So because I had it on my phone. So,
Poppy's
oh yeah.
Poppy's Playtime, by the way, is the first game I was talking about. I played chapter 1 of
Just played
Poppy's
them.
Playtime. It's actually pretty
Mhm.
good, but like chapter 1's like 40 minutes long. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, Poppy's Playtime was one I could think of. Sorry, but yeah, I would check out if you have Game Pass. I would definitely check. And you have any like the
Yeah.
Vegas interest in Balatro, and you know how to play blackjack, I would try it. It's
Mhm.
pretty cool. It's very short though. I would say the replayability is not the same. Like a run technically is beating the 4 bosses.
Mhm.
The more runs you can complete, the more of the story you'll unfold. But it's just the 4 bosses, and the
Yeah.
difficulty goes up too. Um, so where Balatro feels more endless. But yeah,
Yeah. An endless game that I'm scared that whenever it comes to phone is Vampire Crawlers. I played it briefly on Xbox. I was like, this is so good. I cannot play this right now. It's so like it like the feedback loop of that is wild. Like I like how you can get so sucked in to the one more game or just keep
yeah,
on like yeah, just keep on like you just keeping on like getting another run and getting like those because the upgrade loop of that game is so like perfectly addicting because it
oh my
always
god,
like
yeah.
it's always so rewarding. I was like, damn, it's like this is like yeah, once it gets my phone, like I'll never get bored ever again. Like whenever it goes somewhere, because I did the same with Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
Like I got the phone version, it was so good. So
One thing that's
yeah,
kind
that's
of
all I've been playing. So
Yeah, me too. One thing that's kind of funny with Vampire Survivors, just super quick, because I'm getting really tired. Because I got it on Game Pass, but then I bought it on PSN as well. If you play
mhm.
one round on Game Pass, you're all locked 15 achievements, and just like
uh,
you have to wait. It's like 15 bleep
ding ding ding.
for like, and they're just you're gonna see all of these, buddy. But when you do the same thing on PlayStation, it shows one, and the rest just unlock in the background. It's weird how they
That's so
decided to
funny.
do that, but yeah, this yeah, I didn't expect this to be 2 hours and 40 minutes, but
Yeah,
here
almost at
we
three
are.
hours.
We didn't stay on schedule. We didn't follow the order of operations at all. I don't even know what happened. Um,
Yeah,
but this is my
you'll
first
see it in
time
the edit.
two months podcasting, so I'm shaking off the rust.
Mhm.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. I will say, I don't know if the schedules will align, but I plan on doing with Alex. I plan on doing a a show next week to talk about like predictions for the showcase season that's upcoming, and then at some point after the showcases, doing some sort of like recap and review of what we saw. Alex is actually going to Summer Game Fest, which is fucking amazing. For the
Mhm.
second year in a row, right? This is
Yes,
year two.
second time.
So
Yeah.
he'll have if he ends up joining on that episode, he'll have a really interesting perspective, like a hands-on perspective, which would be super cool
Mhm.
to talk about. But yeah, that's all I got. I want to say thanks for joining. Do you want to like promote your Twitch channel?
Yes, you can find me at the Slayer Giant over on Twitch, and on all my socials of note, I have now switched to the Slayer Giant. Our EIC Ains always made fun that I always had a different handle everywhere that I was because it was like it was always taken, but the Slayer Giant was like no one had it, so finally it was like once I started in the stream, I was like let's make this like the only the only identity now. So you can find me at the Slayer Giant on Twitter, the Slayer Giant over on the Blue Sky, and the Twitch. I try to stream 3 times a week. Right now, like the schedule there says Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but ultimately it's been Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays. So it kind of changes when it is, but at the release it's 3 streams in the week during the week. So
Yeah,
you can know where, yeah, and if you go to my Twitch, you'll see a link to my Discord, the Slayer Giants. That's usually where I put my schedule of what I want to play, when I'm gonna play. So you can find me there directly if you want to. So
cool.
and I write for Season Gaming. So just 3 reviews this year so far. Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, Monster Hunter Stories 3, and Directive 8020, which wasn't good. And I didn't want to talk about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and I'll definitely link your Twitch account and stuff in the
Mhm.
description below. It
Mhm.
is interesting. It's a variety stream. I would say if a new game released and it's on PlayStation, chances are it's getting
I'm
streamed.
playing it.
So if you're interested in anything that comes out recently, I
Mhm.
also know that oftentimes if you review a game, you'll play it on stream after the review comes out. So if
Yeah.
you read the review on Season Gaming and you have any questions, I'm
Mhm.
sure you would love to talk in the chat on those streams. So
Mhm.
definitely check that out. But yeah, this has been about an hour and 45 minutes longer than anticipated. Somehow, time is a flat circle. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to have fun out there, everybody, and I'll see you next time.
Till next one. See ya.